Me as Joe. I just for now.
Hi, welcome to the Fifer'S. This is Chief Alderady, the supervisor, Gilly, and Joe. And today we're going to talk about weekend safety briefs and other things. Who would like to start?
Well, Rocky, since you always had to give safety briefings on the weekend, right on Fridays, right before everyone left the shit or left the command.
Yeah.
I know you got one for when you was stationed in DC.
Yes, I did.
And before we get started on that, people, I know it's Sunday, but if we would have done this on Friday, then we'd still had the same subject.
Yeah. Um, so when I was a chief, I had a lot of really junior sailors, right? Like they were all young enough to be my kids. Because I had a kid that was their age, but he did not join the Navy. So we were having problems with people doing the FAFO thing. That's kind of the reason why the safety brief came out along with ORM. You fuck around and you find out, and it's not always the best results, right?
FAFO. Yes.
So this is what I would tell my sailors, and I actually said this in front of my department head, who was the security officer for the Navy Yard, and then the captain of the base. I said, "All right, guys, I would go, all right, sailors, here's what's up. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. In other words, don't die or kill anybody. Stay out of the hospital. Stay out of the newspapers. Stay out of social media news and jail. But if you do end up in jail, establish dominance quickly." So
Very quickly.
when the SECO and the CO saw that, heard that, they were like, "Oh my God, that was so close to the edge." I was like, they're like, "That was fucking good."
That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. No.
I mean, it covers all things, right? I mean,
Good
you
stuff.
don't add to the population. It's like, don't get anyone pregnant and don't get pregnant. We still need you. You are missing essential people, right? The mission always, but sailors, it's mission first, but sailors always. And the only way you're going to get the mission done is with the sailors. That was the whole point of that.
The other thing, Rocky, that's brilliant about that is that you're getting their attention because you're doing something different. If you're death by PowerPoint, you're going to do an unrep safety brief. You have to put these specific lines, and some young ensign just reads it off the PowerPoint because you're briefing the wardroom to get ready to do a particular exercise or event on the ship. And you have to have those things said in a certain way through the entire Navy because of collisions that, okay, we had a collision, so we're going to, or you had a guy get hurt, so we're going to add another line. And that gets sent out all over. But if you have an opportunity to freelance it as you did, and it's entertaining, which that clearly was, that's great. So something different. And you got you cover all the blocks, check all the boxes, and the guys still had, the point is to make them listen to you. If you're doing a port brief before Liberty call, the guys in the back just don't give a shit. They're just there so they can sign a piece of paper saying they listened to it, but they don't hear you. So
and that reminds me of one of the first safety briefs we had. I remember Chief Turbo giving it in Australia. First time me and Rocky ever got to go to Australia. Well, I remember his was, all right, boys, I know you're going to fuck. Make sure you wrap your shit up so you don't get no fucking shit Ajax can't wash off.
Turco, I can definitely see him doing that one too, man. Turbo.
But that's that 7th Fleet mentality, that Rocky has, that he brought that to the East Coast.
Yeah, the 7th Fleet, absolutely. But it's to the point and it's valid.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, he's not going to treat us like children.
And when he's right, you get thrown in jail, right? All right, sometimes you got to knock out the biggest motherfucker in the drunk tank. Sometimes I had to do that one time in Frisco because I had to save little Tate's ass out of fucking pulling about a fucking stripper bar because he was throwing out his whole fucking paycheck pretty much one time. And
$1 at a time.
We go. And the strippers got mad at me. Well, they called the fucking police. Well, he's already going, but the police didn't pick me up for that. Here comes this fucking out of nowhere. He's almost back to the ship, right? Here comes this motherfucker, picked me up from behind, and just slammed me from behind. I'm like, who the fuck was this motherfucker? I turned around and beat the fuck, and they tased my ass. I'm like, oh fuck. Because I didn't, because he was dressed like a bum. He was undercover. But the thing is, that motherfucker, he caught his wife cheating with another sailor off another boat. And I fit the fucking description. And I never touched her.
Oh.
So I got thrown in the drug tank. I'm like, for what? You know, but we was in the drug tank. This homeless dude in there fucking started running his mouth. And I said, motherfucker, you come near me. I said, I'm going to fucking bust your ass. And he did. He came near me and I kicked him right in his fucking head. That motherfucker knocked him out.
Another
I said,
boys. Another red.
I ain't doing this shit. But then that guy, when the man found out, because I was late duty the next day, because I was fucking top watching Central next day, supposed to have the first fucking watch. And luckily, everybody like me and Bull and Hunt and all those guys was with us. They took up for me. They said, no, Gilly didn't do a fucking thing. They come to find out after Jag got involved, that guy, I fit the description of the guy was fucking his wife. You know.
So how did you prove it wasn't you after you almost killed the guy? Did you get out of that? How did that?
No, I didn't kill the fucking.
Almost.
You know, not almost. You know, I just knocked the fucking bum out. You know, not the cop. I got thrown in the drunk tank.
Oh.
But
yeah.
when Jag did their investigation of why I got picked up.
So the takeaway from that probably is that you know, when the CO and XO and the Chiefs mess tells us all, no matter what kind of animals going on Liberty from the engineering department, we're all ambassadors of our nation and should put our best front forward as far as representing the Navy as a bunch of nice guys. Unless you get guys like Gilly going on Liberty.
Hey, that's the only time. Now I got fucking picked up by police and I actually did not do nothing.
So what did you get put on report for that or anything, or what? How wrap up?
No, nothing, because they found out the guy they picked up the wrong guy.
Yeah,
arrested the wrong person.
Yeah.
But the reason why the guy did it, because the guy was someone else was fucking his wife.
Yeah.
You know,
I got you.
So the guy was pissed
when
off.
you got out of there, did they let you walk out, or did they give you an escort to the brow in a car? There's a nickname for that, Rocky. I don't remember what it is.
Oh no,
the police drive you to the brow and take the cuffs off right at the brow.
They kicked me out of the fucking police station. Said, get back to your boat. I'm like, and I was in a part of Frisco. I didn't know where the fuck I was at.
Yeah.
It was 6 o'clock in the fucking morning. I'm like, where the fuck? I said, ain't no taxis around here.
Was Liberty expiring soon? Was Liberty expiring soon? Because I keep having dreams like that where I can't get back to the ship, and it's, you know,
I was late for duty because I had to walk back to the ship.
See, now that's
500 miles.
But that's not. You had a good sea story, so I mean, you could say, hey, and Chief probably said that's a good story, man. Yeah, so.
Well, it was Chief not Turbo, but T-Bolt at that time. So he had to take my wash until I got there. I got down there. I said, sorry, Chief. He's like, what the fuck happened? He said, I already talked to the other guys. He said, you're in the clear on this one.
That's good.
He said, are you still? He said, are you still drunk? I said, no, I ain't drunk. He knew I was. But he's all right. You got watch, motherfucker. And then you got the fucking bed watch too. I was like, fuck, okay.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair deal, though. As opposed to going on the pad, as they say when you're on report, right?
No, I wasn't on report for that one. I was like, fuck, if I get put on report, I'll get put on report. But I didn't even get put on report in Australia. When I got arrested got thrown in the paddy wagon. You take it back because I thought I was on the sidewalk when I was in the middle of the road.
Don't argue with the cops, right? They speak that foreign language in Australia, so it's hard to understand what they're telling you.
But
yeah.
All right, we all see that fucking Pete Hegseth got fucking nominated.
Yeah.
Or not nominated, but he got confirmed. And I guess who had to be the tiebreaker? Old Vance had to be the tiebreaker.
Our amazing
Billy Jarhead.
That's right. You couldn't even write a better story. This morning, I saw a meme on him on Pete, and it said, I can't quote it. I wish I had it. I had it. It said divorced twice, working on the third wife, kids all over the place, tattoos, drinks like a sailor. You would not want any other guy in that position to be leading the troops more effectively than Pete Hegseth. And I said, that's a really good point. The first line was war hero, because the dude, combat veteran. It said combat veteran, but he's beyond a combat veteran. He was in the shit, So he has Bronze Star. I don't know if he He has 2 Bronze Stars, as far as I know, and I'm not sure if he has a Purple Heart. But I don't know exactly where he was for those citations for the Bronze Stars. But Pete's face was in that shit in Afghanistan and Iraq. So I just hope he doesn't fuck it up. But the Trump plan is going pretty well, you know, and everybody's defending Lloyd Austin and saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, what does Pete know about the military?" Blah blah blah. Well, he knows a lot. I mean, the if anybody was a guy that didn't know what he was doing, it would be, respectfully, you know, 4-star General Lloyd Austin, because the guy was a DEI pick, a deep pick, not in politics, no experience, out of uniform. I think the guy literally had to wait the 6 months to get government employment, because, you know, and
they waived his ass because he was still on the fucking board, he was still on one of the boards for one of the defense contractors.
Yeah,
they had to waive his ass.
Yeah, and his experience in politics was 0. So, and he did a decent job. He didn't get fired. So I guess
Pete said the best, right? You got all these fucking, you know, commissioned fucking admirals, fucking generals, right? But they're not the real generals. They're not. Because you look back how many 4-star generals we had in World War II, right? Korea, right? Not that many. Now we got over 40.
Yeah.
That's political right there.
Yeah.
That's where he goes, the military does not need to be fucking political. And I agree with that. The politics need to stay the fuck out of the military. Let the fucking military do their fucking job. Our job is to fucking protect this country. And if we have to, create fucking chaos and kill everybody. Plain and simple. That's our fucking job.
Or whatever the branch heads, whatever that branch head is supposed to do, like this, the 4-star DEI female-ish that just got canned from the Coast Guard, right? So the Coast Guard commandant got fired, but she had all kinds of stuff going way back that wasn't reported, that should have been reported, and she's Trump's first sacrificial lamb. But like I said, I told you about that.
I want to see fucking Pete go in there and fire every one of those motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see him fire everyone. Say, no, we're going to get
There's a good reason she got fired. She wasn't doing her job right.
Yeah.
If you're not promoting people based on their merit, on how they perform as a sailor, as a Marine, as an Air Force person, as whatever, right? If they're not leading and getting other people promoted and accomplishing the mission and making everyone else be successful, they don't need to be in those positions, period. I don't give a shit.
I brought this up one time on Facebook. A buddy of mine that I worked with, he was Navy too. It's about when they're talking about this Navy pilot, black female, right? Said first female, you know, Navy, you know, combat pilot, right? You know, got to just get past her quals and all that shit, right? First thing I said was, did she actually earn it? Or did she get it because of the color of her fucking skin? Boy, that stirred up the fucking shitstorm. I said, look, this is what happens in the fucking military. People are getting fucking promoted to fucking jobs that they didn't fucking earn. I said, all you bleeding fucking heart liberals need to shut the fuck up. The military is not about fucking, should not be, if you don't have that fucking qualification or earn that qualification, whether it be a combat pilot, fucking ranger, a SEAL, whatever, you don't fucking get to do it. You got to earn that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good, which takes me back to Rocky's safety brief topic to open up the show. I remember this nugget from Bill Alt, captain of the Princeton, when I was there. I mean, I was wide open. My brain was wide open. The first time in the wardroom, from being a senior chief to getting commissioned. And he had heard some whining and about, we're going to go on deployment like the next day. And Bill said, he said that guy had a temper, but he would keep a grip on it. And he got everybody in the wardroom, the chiefs and the chief's mess and the entire wardroom. And we were packed in there, and he sat down. He goes, I'm going to tell you guys this shit one time. Listen, no penalty against you, but our job starting tomorrow is to kill people and blow shit up. And if you're not willing to kill people and blow shit up, you have the opportunity today to pack your bags up. No penalty. We'll get you somewhere to work, but you can leave today. And everybody that wants to not kill people and blow shit up, stay behind. All right. Dismissed. And everybody walked out quietly.
Yeah, I have a story like that. Only it was on the USS Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, that's a safety brief.
I was in Atwell, right? And we had someone in the weapons division or something like that, the weapons department, and they got offended by their chief, and they were the people that I think operated the Sea Whiz and a couple other guns that we had. And they're like,
The
I'm not,
Twitches.
my chief tells me because he hurt my feelings. I was like, I'm sorry, fucking what? So you're gonna put, we're on deployment right now, right? You fucking dumbass. I said, we're on deployment right now. There's 5,000 plus people on this boat. And if you don't do something and it gets everybody killed, you're going to affect the lives of close to 20,000 people because you're a selfish little bitch ass pussy that fucking can't take being criticized or corrected when you did something fucking wrong. You better take a look in the mirror. And I said, better yet, get the fuck off my boat. I got a wife and 4 kids that I got to get home to. I'm doing this for them. So fucking shape up or shit the fucking fuck out kind of thing, right? Because that's a serious thing, especially when you're on deployment. And this was in May. This was for the 2019 deployment on the Abraham Lincoln, which was a pretty long one. Long but uneventful. But
yeah, that's the one you went around the world on, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's where I got like the Golden Dragon, and I crossed the line a 3rd time. I got a lot of stuff that was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't realize that all the stuff I did, but besides the point, you have to have people that have to operate and follow fucking orders. Follow the last fucking order given, right? But make sure the order that you're following is actually lawful in accordance with the UCMJ, right? And SecNav, OffNav instructions, DOD instructions, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs and Staff's instructions, all those instructions. You make sure that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it and how it's supposed to be done. And hopefully with the new guy going to be the department, the Secretary of Defense, they start instilling this in people and not being like, hey, let's be diverse. I don't care about diversity. All I care about is, can you do the job and can you do it right? And can you bring people back home safely to their loved ones? If they are worried about what's going on back home, they're not going to be safe out there. And we already know our job is a hazardous job, no matter if it's working in an engine room, no matter if it's working with guns, no matter if it's working on a boat where you're steering the boat or whatever. Everything has its risks. We want to mitigate the risk, right? There's always some kind of risk involved. There's always going to be risk that's involved, like residual risk. But our job is to make it as safe as freaking possible and to make everyone aware of what's going on so that they don't mess up. And you can't.
This is definitely not a new thing. While I'm listening to you guys, I remember how far back this goes that impacted me was I was on my first ship was a carrier, obviously. So, but I remember this girl, Lieutenant Kara Hultgreen. I don't know if that rings a bell with you guys, but I couldn't remember her name, so I looked it up on the computer while we're talking. She was the first combat qualified F-14 Tomcat pilot in the Navy, and the Navy was a very macho. At the time, you didn't. There were no females on combatant ships and stuff like that. Or we were just transitioning at that time. But she went ahead and got qualified as an F-14 pilot, and shortly afterwards got herself killed in an accident trying to land a damn thing, and flamed out one of her engines because she landed so late and died. And then they in the research for the investigation, they had found that a lot of her scores. She wasn't the cream of the crop, and I would imagine if I was in her training squadron that some of those dudes, some of the men would be a little bit upset that she had gone through and became famous. She was basically a hero for women's rights until she died. Then it was very quiet.
See, and she was white too, right? Yep. So I remember that.
Yeah,
that's why I said that. That goes back to what I said about the first black woman, right? Did she actually earn it? Because that girl, the first one, the actual first one, she didn't really earn it. They pushed her in that. Some fucking senator or congressman probably wanted her in there to make them look good.
Makes you think of the movie G.I. Jane.
Yeah.
It's about a woman becoming a Navy SEAL and all that stuff.
And if y'all remember, remember the movie, the show Jag, right?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that show?
I remember the hot chick, but I never watched it.
They did an episode about that. That woman got herself killed.
Yeah.
That pilot.
And who did they blame for?
Yeah.
Who was the scapegoat?
They blamed the fucking the skipper.
Why didn't they blame the people?
Or the air boss. The air boss. They blamed the air boss and the skipper too.
Even though she's the one that crashed her plane?
Yeah, she crashed. She landed late and then flamed an engine and didn't really know what to do once her engine flamed, but she overreacted and put it in the drink instead of. I mean, everything went wrong. She overreacted. She lifted too fast. She didn't really recognize that she had lost one engine. She didn't eject. I don't know if the other guys, if the backseater survived, because you got the F-14 Tomcats. One of my favorite planes ever. You got the
Rio.
The radar, the Rio, the radar intercept officer, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that was my bit I wanted to throw in on that, and
that's good though, Joe. That's a good one right there, because that goes back to fucking what Headset has said.
1994. So that's the main point I want to see. October 25, 1994. So she tried to land. Yeah, and that
makes the point of what Headset's been trying to say. Women in combat, shit like that happens.
That being said, though, I was just thinking that we can't not let people do stuff, and some of these girls or different skin. Well, and it does, the physical strength. We're kind of winning the argument on the male and female physical strength thing with this whole trans testicle guys joining the girls' track team and destroying them, and wrestling team and destroying them and so forth. I really hate that. That's got to stop. But this risk with leadership positions. So we get Asian American gal is going to be the first Asian American girl to be the CEO of Supply Depot, Pearl Harbor, or whatever. We got to take those risks sometimes. The first African American female commanding officer of a destroyer, and they got to perform. And if they perform and they get done with it, then they set a new benchmark that it can be done. So
that's the way it should be. It should be. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what sex you are. Can you do the job?
Right. And you don't know until you know. Right. So
can you do it right? And can you do it under pressure? Because there's a lot of people, they can't handle the pressure sometimes. In a high stress environment, there's people that freeze like a deer in the headlights, and there's others that excel in that.
Right. So we can't sit here and say, the white guys in the military are the best at not freezing and kicking people's ass and killing everybody. And although it's been perceived in, forever, Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger in his movies, and so on and so forth. It's always been like that. But apparently, we could probably have a realistic movie with different cast members in it. But these movies we're doing with the cartoon versions of the Fantastic Four and things like that, when they diversify and insert folks that have never been there before, a lot of those movies over the last 5 or 6 years have lost massive, bombed beyond abysmal bombing, lost hundreds of millions of dollars because nobody gives a shit. You got a big chunk of society, let's say it's Caucasians, that have no interest in the movie because the movie specifically assembled to put all these, Stan Lee characters from cartoons from the 60s, not cartoons, but I mean good stories, cartoon books, comic books, and they're just changing it. And so the good chunk of the U.S. is saying, I'm not interested in that. A small chunk of it is probably saying that's really cool. Good they did that, but they're not buying the tickets and they're not going. But the only time you really see the results of this stuff is when you get to the Oscars. So you go to the Oscars, and the day after the Oscars, they'll say, I don't know when it was. I don't really watch the Oscars anymore, Rocky. But a couple of years ago, there was this huge uproar because, African Americans snubbed during the Oscars, and a bunch of movies had been nominated with a bunch of African American actors and actresses in the movies, and nobody got nominated for an award. And it's they either didn't merit it or Hollywood's racist. I don't know, but I mean, apparently they didn't merit it. If this Screen Actors Guild is, or whoever nominates these guys is legit and they're not racist, the guys the folks that got upset about not being nominated just didn't do the job well enough to get nominated, and that's how it goes. You know, I mean, I can't put myself on the other foot because of who my parents are and where they came from, but there's just some stuff that you just got to look at reality and go, hey, this is the way it is. If somebody's going to kick ass, they're going to kick ass. So there's a female that came to my commissioning. She was a captain. We all knew her. She was pretty cool, very quiet. And she went from 06 to like 08 in like 2 years. And she lived up to it. I'm trying to remember her name now, but I'll look it up here in a second here. But she became the vice CNO and she crushed it and quietly went about doing a great job and didn't. And then I guess she didn't get picked for CNO to take that one more step upwards and be the first CNO. But now we have a female chief of naval operations. So, and I watched the video with her I interview with her the other day, and she seems be doing a great job. She's got the presence, she's got the voice, she's obviously wicked smart, and the quietness of her doing this job has been probably the biggest proof that she can do the job. You know, I mean, you barely would know it unless you looked it up that we have had a female CNO. Imagine that. You know, when we came in Rocky, female CNO. We had all these. You know, it was like, are you either a pilot or you're a sub guy? I mean, it was always white guys. That was either some war hero pilot that went all the way up through the ranks. There was no question of who was going to be the CNO. It was going to be some white dude, old white dude in his 60s. But we've come a long ways. And you know, but Mike Borda shook that up a lot. So that was kind of a sad, I don't know if you guys were, I'm sure you were active duty when Mike Borda was CNO. Were you, or you're on the trail of that? Mike Borda was this ensign yoke. He was an E1.
No, I think he died before I came.
Yeah. So Mike, doesn't seem. It seems like yesterday, but
he did the Seaman to Admiral program.
Yeah, Mike was an E1 who wound up being a YN3 who got selected for Seaman Admiral, went all the way to CNO, and then he was under pressure for his ribbon rack. So there was some questions about his combat V's that he was wearing on a couple of his ribbons. And there was some other stuff, obviously a lot of other stuff going on. Probably the job itself was over his head. I mean, you know, he didn't go to the academy. You get Seaman Admiral, you go back home to your hometown and finish your bachelor's degree at whatever freaking bumfuck Egypt community college, and you get commissioned. So honestly, Mike Borda was kind of a DEI selection for that job, and it was too much for him. So he picked a day at the Pentagon to go out in the parking lot in his car and shoot himself with a snub-nosed revolver right through the heart and kill himself. And that let down a lot of people because you really look up to the CNO when you're a screaming seaman or a ensign or whatever. You just it depends on who the president is, how you get motivated, and which bugs me. Which like before the show, folks, me and the guys were talking about the selection of Bill Clinton to have a Gerald Ford class carrier named after him. That's going to be the keel will be laid down in 2027. But so I saw some AI post from allegedly an AI post from some guy who was Navy. He had a Navy rack on his khaki shirt, but he had no emblems of his rank on his shoulders or on his collar, and no holes where anchors would be on his collars. And he's talking about, thank God, Bill, Trump got elected and da 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 da. And it was on IG, and I clapped back to that. I said, hey, dude, I mean, generally anybody watching this video, this short, if you are in the military, getting paid, and you do have committed to your oath to do your job. It doesn't fucking matter whether you don't like the president or not. He's your commander in chief, and it goes right back to what you were saying, Rocky, about doing your job right. Exactly. And I would start right now with that 30-second thing you said about doing your job right as a professional to blow shit up and kill people. And yeah, so but look, you know, would I love to be active duty right now? Yeah, but I had Reagan. I'm that old that when I came in, Ronald Reagan was the was the commander in chief, and that was pretty cool because we all loved him. You know, my dad was a Democrat because he was a union guy, but he loved Reagan. He loved those battleships being brought back into commission. This seems like ancient history now, but it's like yesterday to me. But man, and he wanted me to be in the Navy so bad, and I finally did relent and go. So, but I had Reagan and I had Bush, and I was on active duty for 9/11, and I was on active duty when we killed bin Laden, as we were talking about on the show the other day. And there are moments when it goes great, but when Barack Obama is doing 2 terms and Bill Clinton is doing 2 terms, it doesn't change anything about what you should do as your job or your motivation as a military service member, as far as, like you said, Rocky, so effectively, Rocky, doing your job, you know?
Yeah.
So thanks for that.
I think there was another snub, which I think is hilarious. It was the Barbie movie. The guy that played Ken got nominated for Oscar or something like that.
Yeah.
All the other people in that stupid fucking dumb feminist movie didn't get shit because they didn't fucking earn it.
It was junk.
It was a crappy movie. It was a crappy movie where they mocked men, and then you're going to expect men to, like, yeah, we want to help you out because you don't respect us. Nah. What's happening now is we're giving these people enough rope to fucking hang themselves.
That's actually right. Absolutely right, man.
Because of all these people that mock men, when you have no more men left that will protect you, you better look at yourself in the fucking mirror and take accountability for your disrespect. Because
the challenge for that movie too was, there was, if I remember right, there was so many adult innuendos in that movie disrespecting men and DEI stuff and a lot of sexist clapbacks. But I didn't watch it. How would I watch the Barbie movie?
I couldn't watch it either.
But it was a lot of adult innuendos, and the target audience should have been kids, you know. But and all that stuff went over the kids' heads, or unfortunately sunk in their heads, where later on, like listening to a lyric to your favorite rock music from when you're 8 years old, now you understand it when you're 30. Those kids might remember that movie and go, oh, I get it now. That was fucked up. You know?
So there was a guy, his name is Hammertan the MGTOW Mob. And I watched his video on that, and he broke it down. Genius. The guy's a genius when it comes to breaking down all this stuff and explaining what this actually means. Because there's a lot of people that don't understand that men and women talk in different languages. One talks in logic and the other talks in emotion. So the one that talks emotional doesn't say what they actually mean. They say what they feel. And since the one that talks in logic cannot read fucking minds because they're not Professor fucking Xavier from the X-Men, it's never going to work, right? So he broke it down like a genius, and it really opens your eyes to how bad society has gotten, where they hate men. And like, there's news reports every day of men. Like today, I watched a video today. They said that in Mississippi, some stupid senator is trying to make it so that if you get an erection, that's yours, and you ejaculate and you don't get a girl pregnant, you're going to get charged money for that. So yeah,
or throw in jail. I guess I'm gonna be going to jail, bitches.
It's like, come on, what is wrong with these people? And you know, this war started back in 1920 when we let people get a right that they did not ever fucking earn. Because how do you get to vote and not put your ass on the line?
Exactly. You got to sign up for
fucking draft. Fair? How is that even fair? How is that equality? No, it's not about equality. It's about supremacy. And the supremacy, like I said, people have woken up to this stuff, and it's kind of like Admiral Yamamoto. Since 2020, when all these channels started coming out, you're waking up a fucking monster that you're not going to be able to handle. Because once men start realizing how screwed over you have done, how much you have screwed them over, do you think those men are going to stand by and let you get away with it?
But the good thing is we're not revolting immediately. I mean, in fact, I'm just getting enlightened right now while we're talking about this. I would never think about, okay, now's my time to go out and flaunt my white privilege or whatever. I mean, it's like I don't even think about this shit because I'm just me. So if everybody was just going to be me and do the best they could at what they do as me, they would just. It's like this whole Gen Z thing or whatever it is now is just like it's just the whole thing is removing themselves from responsibility and accountability for anything. It's like, well, everything's fucked up or the whole world is fucked up. It's like, it's not. It's not. The world's not fucked up. The world is the way the world is. The way you fit into it is up to you. And if you determine it to be fucked up, the world's going to pass you by because you're going to get rejected from everybody else that knows what they're doing. Well, here's so see you later. Bye.
Here's the thing. It's like with TikTok and YouTube and all these other platforms, you get to see what actual people really think about you. They get to show you their true colors. And now that men know this is what the opposite sex thinks about you, you're not going to have a lot of the opposite sex wanting to help you. I mean, and there's a guy named Sandman, and he's awesome. And I found him by accident, but he's got a lot of wisdom, right? And
you should put him in the comments below or in the links below.
And he said, you can either love them or understand them, but you can't do both. And it kind of makes sense because if you love them too much without understanding them, you're going to let them walk all over you because you want to make them happy, right? But they don't give a shit about your happiness. They don't care if they hurt your feelings. They don't care about any of that stuff because all they think about is themselves. And that's what TikTok has proven. And part of probably the reason they've wanted to take down TikTok is because all the guys see how women talk about men and how they want to use them and manipulate them for money and all this other stuff. And now men have walked away from relationships, marriage, and dating. And now there's reports of artificial wombs being made so men can have kids and not get divorced because they're just going to be a single father. And then when you look at what the difference between a single father and a single mother and a two-parent household where the dad is in charge and the wife is supporting him, the single father is just as successful as the two parents, but not the other way around. And,
father, because us single fathers, so I'm a single dad, we hold our kids accountable.
Yeah, you have to.
For the mothers, a lot of the mothers, I ain't saying all the mothers don't, but a lot of the single mothers do not hold their kids accountable when it comes to shit.
Yeah, this is a topic that we could talk about for a long time because it does affect us. I mean, it affects my teenagers. Like, they don't even want to date girls. They don't want to deal with them. Like my second oldest, he's like, Dad, I just want to keep my peace. I don't want to get stressed out. And when I was his age at 18, what do you think I was looking for?
Pussy.
Girls, right? I wanted a girlfriend because I loved them. And I saw them as these great, beautiful creatures. But then you start seeing all the crap you see in the Navy for 24 years. And you're like, they're not innocent by any means. I've seen so many false accusations and all that crap. It makes me like, everyone get away from me. You're going to stay 6 feet away from me. And if I'm talking to you, I'm going to have two other people in the office when I'm canceling your ass because I am going to end up knife handing your ass. Being stupid.
Oh, fucking knife hand. Listen here, motherfucker. You gonna do what I say? You fucking degenerate.
I remember this girl one time. I was a fitness instructor on the Fife. I was on the Fife because I was the fitness coordinator, and
you were the fat boy fucking programmer.
I beat the crap out of those guys. I got good bullets for that too. That actually helped me get promoted, but I had them doing these 30-second push-ups and all. Anyways, one of the gals said to me, she was barely in standards and she was okay, but I don't remember who it was, but she was some cute chick from First Division. And I go, yeah, you're just in there. She goes, yep, I got my Navy issue hips. I remember her telling me that, like every girl that comes to boot camp. And her joke was that a lot of gals that are single moms that can't make it are struggling. wind up in single mom situations like at high school or briefly after high school, and their parents are holding them too growing up. They would join the military, and I go, hey, it's legit. I mean, but she said there's a joke in boot camp, and if you had a kid already, or you have birther hips, they're Navy issue hips because you'd put on some little bit of weight here and there. And I thought it was pretty funny. We're laughing about it. I remember that.
Yeah, but I mean that goes into like, are they qualified? Can they meet the standard physically to carry a body?
Yeah, I kept them to it. The only guys I didn't really keep to it was here was the trick. So I was on it was the Fife. So we had let's see, we came back from Japan, and then we got a new CO named Steve. I'll say that much about Steve. I think I already touched on this. So Steve and the XO, I don't remember the XO's name, but the XO was a good guy. And Steve was a good guy. Steve wound up retiring from the Navy and running for mayor of his hometown, and I guess he lost. But I've lost track of him. But I don't really want to keep track of those guys, anyways. But man, I'll tell you what, this guy was like, his push-ups were terrible. His push-ups, and I'm standing there. So we rented. So he wanted to swim. He wanted to do the swim. We had the funds to authorize X amount of people do the swim. And then this occasion, him and the XO were going to do the swim only. So there's me and like another chief and Steve and the XO, and Steve's doing his push-ups. He was doing those dive push-ups with his hands way out in front of his head. You know, and I'm like, what can I do? This guy's my commanding officer. I'm a chief in his chief's mess. I'm doing my job as best I can. And these push-ups are terrible. And it was like a kind of a morale or a conflict with me. What should I do? What should I do? So this dude got in the pool, though. This dude got in the pool, and this guy was like an Olympic swimmer. He was incredible. His swimming was beyond belief how fast this guy was in the water. And I have no idea how he did it, but he was just mind-boggling. And then I said, oh, you got the push-ups are kind of funky. Sit-ups are sit-ups. But, man, he just blew that shit out of the water. He could have been, I think he went to Olympic trials at some point during his collegiate times. But that's, you got all different kinds of people. And I had this other girl, a YN1 or whatever she was. And, no matter how many times I look at this girl working every day, first thing you know, back to what you were saying, Rocky, she can't fucking fight a fire. If the ship was getting shot at, she would just be the first person to die, or you would hope she'd die, so you didn't have to trip over her trying to get to the fire or whatever.
And it should not
second
be
of all, I knew she was not going to pass the measurement, and I would go up to these gals and say, hey, and I had there was one chief too that I wrecked his career because I kept telling this guy, dude, you're not going to pass, So I'm telling you, for 6 months, you got PFT, a fitness test every 6 months, and you can only warn the guy for 6 months or 179 days, you're fucked. So I measured her, and she was over slightly, and it was hopeless. And she started crying immediately, first class petty officer, crying immediately, and went to go see some off-ship counselor, which got the XO's attention and so on. And I'm like, what can I do? And XO was like, well, okay, I'll back you up on this one, So, yeah, I mean, here's the numbers. So let me back up on that story. One more moment here for my inspiration for that. I was a first class petty officer on the USS Halsey, CG-23. And I had this really brilliant LDO division officer named Jack Shake. His name is Shake, which is French, with a French spelling with the Q and all this other stuff. And I was always worried about stuff. And I was always like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And this will go with you guys too. Legally and all this other stuff you do, medically, all this other stuff. And he goes, look, he goes, look, it's all black and white. There's a piece of paper that's white with some stuff on it that's in black. And that's your guidance. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about things. And you don't have to worry about determining what's right and what's wrong because somebody already ever wrote it down for you. So just think about that as everything being in black and white. So I've never forgotten that, and it just takes so much strain off of you while you're doing your job that no matter what you do, if it's in an instruction or in a direction or in something else that's signed by the captain and you're enforcing it, you're doing the right thing no matter what, you know.
Yeah, and you got to do your job.
But takes us back to people getting pulled over. How many, I do get entertained by sovereign citizens and just people that just, I didn't do nothing wrong. I didn't do nothing. And people get pulled over and it's like, you know what? You just got to stop spending that energy on that. I would not have pulled you over if you didn't have something that I detected that was wrong in accordance with the law. I'm sure there's some counties and
there's some cops out there that will pull you over for anything.
Right.
And you could be doing everything perfectly.
Right. Well, you're a quota. So does that happen to you though? That's my question.
Oh, that's happened to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like here in mid-Missouri, once they know you've had a DWI and they know they see you out late, like past 1 o'clock in the morning.
That's a good point. That's a good point because everybody's got license plate readers now.
It does not matter if you're getting off work, right? Off fucking second shift. They didn't care.
That's a good point.
I got pulled over on having times when I got out of the military. When I was working at the factory there, before I got on the power plant. And I have Virginia plates still in my car. And they pulled me over. I'm like, what the fuck? I knew what they wanted. The last time it happened, I said, look. I said, I ain't fucking drunk.
Right.
I said, I know why you pulled me over to see if I'm fucking drunk. I said, you had no reason to pull me over. So I will be going to chief of police in the fucking morning.
How'd that go?
And I did. Well, that guy got fucking suspended. He got suspended because he was fucking targeting people. That's what he was doing. And that's
the technology. The technology would the new technology would.
They have to
wind up blowing up.
No, they have to catch. They have to catch you doing something.
Right. They do, but I guess because of what happened, they would have to go with a reasonable suspicion.
Yeah, and it wasn't there. What do you say?
No, it was not there.
But they got to have probable cause for that shit too.
But they fucking like the cops here in Missouri, right? A lot of them, especially small town cops, if they know somebody has had a DWI, right, or whatever, right, been in trouble before, they will pull them over and try to make something up that ain't fucking there.
Yeah, I believe that. And it's easier now because they're going to get a trigger from the license plate readers that are installed all over the place. That hey, here comes. Let's say it's me. I had 2 DUIs. Oh, here comes Joe DeRocher's car down the road here. So let's just pull him and see if we're going to get him for the 3rd DUI because he's a criminal. So,
yeah.
And that's fucked up. That's totally fucked up.
It's the same way here in fucking Boonville too. Especially you go out of Boonville, especially if you get taken the back roads back home, or somewhere, right? Go through another small town, New Franklin. Since we have a casino here in town, those cops in New Franklin will pull you over. You don't even have to be fucking swerving. They will pull you over to see if you've been drinking.
Well, that's the classic. The classic is the cops waiting 100 yards from a bar, and a car leaves the bar, and they pull them over.
Yep.
I mean, it's like
because DWIs and DUIs, that's a money maker for the state.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
That's any state.
Like even when I was in NAF at Sugi as a MA1, they said, look, you have to have everyone sign a form that says implied consent. The fact that you're coming on this base means that we get to take a breathalyzer.
Yeah, in Japan.
See if you are at the limit. I mean, and that's how we caught that one guy that was a functional alcoholic.
Yeah, but you're coming on base. They're coming on base. That's a different story there.
I mean, it looks like entrapment.
So, Rocky, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Were you still on active duty when the brief thing of this is one of the things that really wanted to make me retire, even though I was trying to finish 30 years. But a policy came into effect, at least in San Diego, with a breathalyzer on the brow at the OOD station on the brow for engineers to blow into when they came back onto the ship, so they didn't assume the watch above the legal limit, and it was only for engineers at the beginning. It was just absolutely horrible. It was, and they applied it a lot to the once you got all the gas turbine ships out there, they could light that thing off in fucking half an hour and be underway. But the boiler ships, the engineers typically came on board 2 days or 2.5 days before the underway period because they had to light off and get all this other stuff going with the boilers. It takes a long time. But I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It made sense to me, but it just seemed like such an encroachment of whatever, rights or whatever. I have to blow into a fucking pipe to come on the ship. And if I blow over the limit, my department head's going to be notified that I can't assume the first watch or it was, well, I don't even know when that was, but it was just, I didn't like that. That definitely rubbed me the wrong way, man.
Well, yeah, because it's like they're punishing you for being in the Navy and wanting to have fun.
These guys, this is for anybody. This is for guys put their kids to bed and came on the ship early. I mean, at 4:30 in the morning, because they're an engineer, they got to come in and prepare early to lay off anyways, while the Twidgets are all goofing off and getting ready to get their omelets at Reveille or whatever. But it was just that it was a target, the engineering target thing that I didn't like about it, and everybody blew. Then Chang would blow, MPA would blow, and but if you had a guy that needed help for alcoholism, or he just wanted to pound a few down before he left, or he was a single guy that partied, I mean, I don't know. It wasn't fair. It definitely wasn't fair.
Shit, we always we always got underway. Fucking all of us fucking still hungover or fucking still drunk.
But there was a series of collisions which cost a bunch of guys their lives prior to that, if I remember right. Besides these dudes, when those two DDGs got in crashes and killed.
But that doesn't. You can't fucking hammer just the fucking snipes for that shit. You got to hammer the fucking deck motherfuckers, the topsiders drive the fucking boat.
I think that when that court martial was going on, I was the chief. I was one of the chiefs in security at Washington Navy Yard when they were doing that court martial, where they did determine that a lot of it was training people and time training people, because they were always short people, which didn't make any sense. How are you short people, especially in that time frame when the Navy wasn't thriving, but it was doing better than it was this last administration. And now that this whole thing has changed, I'm hoping it's changing for the better, to be honest.
Well, and that's where fucking HETSEC needs to fucking reel in the fucking Navy on their training. Say, no, we need to get back to the training like how we was trained and how the chiefs and all that trained us and how they were trained back in the 80s and 70s and shit like that.
But one of the things they need to do is they need to learn, the younger generation needs to fucking learn, you are not fucking perfect. You don't know fucking everything, and you better fucking listen to those that are senior to you, because they've been through some shit and seen some stuff. So shut up and listen. I used to tell this to people. How many ears did you get? How many ears did God give you? They'll be like, 2. How many mouths? 1, right? Shut the fuck up and listen. And there's a point, because these people, like when I was a chief and all that stuff in around 2014, 2015, the Navy was coming out with these stupid policies of letting junior people run the Navy. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You're going to listen to an E3 that has no experience shooting guns, gun safety, how to handle domestic violence, how to handle an active shooter situation, how to handle a fire alarm, how to handle going on in the weapons.
CO suggesting box, right? The old CO suggesting box.
Yeah.
One thing that annoyed me towards the end, I got, once I made warrant, I realized I was in the perfect pocket where I didn't give a fuck what anybody thought about me, but I could do my job pretty good, and I had a good chief. But one thing that annoyed me was when I had to walk around the ship during sweepers or clampdown and listen to everybody had to have a fucking boom box or something in the P-way, in the passageway, just to fucking sweep the floor, sweep the deck, right? And it just blew my mind that there, I guess I just realized I was old, but it was still true that they could not listen to this gangster rap with the N-word playing all the time in a passageway on the ship, no matter how white those kids were or whatever black, it's just wrong. You can't be in the passageway blasting gangster rap to make you comfortable with having to clean and field day that passageway. And I would always stop and talk to the guy. I go, you can't do that, and they would look at me like I'm crazy. But
and they didn't even have
I never relented on that. I never quit on that. I didn't seek it out, but I did.
And they didn't even have to wax the fucking P-ways no more then at all.
Because they had PRC on the deck, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I was the chief and I went back to the Abraham Lincoln, they really didn't have a lot of boom boxes. What they had headphones, like Apple earphones,
cell phones.
You always had to keep one out and one in so you could hear the 1MC or whatever.
Yeah, I guess.
But these ships need to bring back, put the fucking shit on the floor where you got waxed the fucking P-ways again. That will show those young fucking bucks what hard work really is, especially when the fucking chief was that bitch fucking shiny.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story from my friend Cliff, right? Cliff was a first class that taught me a lot about leadership. Like, he was one of the best leaders I'd ever worked with and worked for. And he would tell me, like, the way that he would get someone that was like a not a great sailor to actually shine, and he could get this guy an EP, was he would put him in charge of a space. And if he took pride in his job, that space would go from looking like crap to looking like the best space, best space on the ship, right? And because of that work ethic, his attitude would get better and he would be more confident and get more quals, right? PQS quals. And he would end up becoming a better sailor.
Yeah.
And I think something is lost on that. I don't even know if they do that anymore. Because I had to tell my CCS, a command climate supervisor, they're the guys that are like the equal opportunity advisors, right? They're above the equal opportunity management guys, right? The CMEO. And I told them, this is what's going on. I said, the chiefs are not going out on the deck plates anymore, because every time they do and they try to correct a sailor in a deficiency, like fix your hair, fix your uniform, clean the space correctly, why are you doing it this way when you're supposed to do it that way per SOP? They would get reported, and then they'd have a preliminary investigation on it. So you would have all the E6 and below whining that no chiefs are there. But when the chiefs go there and try to be chiefs and lead and do the right thing, and, because we're trying to train our reliefs, it wouldn't work. I said, this is your problem, and you got to tell the CO this. And he was like, you know what, Rocky? I talked to a couple other people. I talked to other chiefs. I talked to first classes. I talked to E1s and everybody. And he's like, you were fucking dead spot on with that. I said, yeah. I mean, you got it. So the guys that are supposed to be teaching people don't want to do it because you're always making them get in trouble. It's completely different from the way that we were when you and I were coming up in the Navy back in the early.
Because see, back then, if we smarted off to when we was fucking first came up, we Z2s, Z3s, right? If we smarted off to an E4 above, we could get shit smacked out of us, for smart off to them. That's the kind of shit that fucking headset needs to bring back to all the fucking military, every branch of the military.
Well, they need to get back their military bearing, good order and fucking discipline, GOAD, right? Good order and discipline, and doing the right thing.
Well, I have to say that I don't know that they're not doing that, because I'm very removed from that, and I don't know if the Navy's a shit show now, or the military's a shit show, or they're doing okay. I think it's been long enough now that I can tell sea stories, but I don't know if the current military I used to belong to is unrecognizable, or they're doing okay.
It is. Like I have a senior chief buddy, right? And
right now he's on active.
He's in Great Lakes, and he said, man, it's terrible. It's so bad that at one point the chief mess was disbanded because of all the stupid political shit. And I'm like, that's crazy, dude. I'm like, you got to go fix that. Like, you got to fix that and come up with, the rules and all the other stuff, and that everything a chief's mess supposed to do, right? And it's like, holy crap, that actually happened. He's like, yeah, it happened. It
Holy
happened.
shit.
Sorry. And I'm like, dude, that is crazy. And I'm like, what
They're
is
gonna become the Air Force.
and I said, dude, and I told him it sounds like it's falling apart. And then the past couple of years that I've been out of the Navy watching YouTube, I see these reports of no one's joining the military, especially guys. Guys don't want to go in the military anymore. Well, why would you want to go in the military as a man if you're automatically hated and persecuted for being a man?
Well,
Like,
and
you're not-
what HeadSec I think needs to do, especially for the Navy side, right, is bring fucking bunch of old fleet sailors like us into it and fucking help fix the Navy.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
To get that attitude back that we had when we first came in, the way we was taught.
Yeah, you're not going to like everything, but you still got to do it because it's the right thing to fucking do.
And especially when you're overseas pulling a port, right? Motherfuckers knew who the fuck we was when we walked into a place, whether it's a bar or restaurant. Motherfuckers knew who he was. You know, and when I was on the med cruise in 2002, you know, people over there were so disrespectful to the military, especially in France, right?
The
On
locals?
the West Coast, yeah, oh yeah. On the West Coast, that shit would happen. You know, we would fucking ring their fucking bell back then.
Yeah,
That's got an attitude the Navy needs to bring back. Plain simple.
on the subject of the Navy, I think that we should bring back battleships.
Yes. And I'm going to share this real quick, just on this one, because this kind of falls in line of the kind of ships that they want to build, right? Instead of building battleships, right? Now they're going to, can you all see that? Can you all see it?
God help us. God help us all.
Well, now they're wanting to build another fucking carrier, the fucking Lincoln or the Clinton. No, you don't need another fucking aircraft carrier. What you need is goddamn fucking battleships to go along with the aircraft, carrier strike group. It's what the fuck they need. Bring back the battleships like redo the Missouri, not just keep the Missouri where it's at, but build a new one, just like it, an Iowa class battleship, right? So that way, instead of putting 16-inch guns on that bitch like the Iowa class had, you put the big old 18-inch that the fucking Japanese battleships.
Yeah, on the Yamato, yeah.
You put them motherfuckers on there. You put VLS on there, all that bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Instead of fucking steam or nuclear, you put fucking 4 LM5000 fucking gas turbines on that motherfucker right there.
You need a lot more than that to move the damn thing, though.
No, you won't. Not the 5,000. You don't. No.
I don't know if you were a kid that was coming into the Navy and you had a chance to go on a badass fucking battleship like that. I think you would go in there just to try and get on that boat.
That's exactly what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me, guys. When I was joining, Reagan was recommissioning 4 battleships. So we started with the New Jersey. I don't remember exactly the other ones, but they were back on service. And this is way back when, I don't know how old you guys are specifically, but we had an incident in Beirut, Lebanon, where a truck bomb, there's a bunch of stuff that led up to this, but a truck bomb was backed up to the Marine barracks. And I'm sure you guys have heard of it, and blew up the fucking Marine barracks and killed like 235 Marines or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Reagan's response was to park a fucking battleship off the coast and just shell the fuck out of those guys with 16-inch shells for days. And it was like, goddamn right, I mean, if you lost your life in that incident and you knew the reprimand that came to that city after that, it was like, there was, I mean, Trump could do some political shit, but it's going to be tough to match that stuff. I was in active duty and I was like, God damn, this is fucking amazing.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to share this about the LM5000 Marine gas turbine, right? This right
2500s. You're talking about 2500s.
Oh, these are the 5000.
Okay, I'll buy that. I'll buy
5,000.
Yeah,
see,
you can't get 25.
Each engine on the 5000s is 50,000, bhp, right?
Yeah.
And also, They are
Break
designed.
horsepower, folks. Break horsepower for our acronym
They
understanding.
are designed for fucking, fast sports ships, aircraft carriers. It combined with nuclear gas turbine propulsion right system. Battleships and large surface effect ships. That's what they're designed for. Let's see how I know this, because they can also be used as generators too, right?
Oh yeah.
And let's see, the power plant I worked at, we had a peaking unit, North Missouri, right there on the Iowa border. Well, that was a 250 megawatt. Each one was 250 megawatt for peakers. Keep the line voltage up in the wintertime and shit, so that way customers wouldn't lose wouldn't lose power. Well, that can be converted too for fucking generators right there. Those can be. And you put 4 of them bitches on there. I mean, even if they had 3 shafts on the battleships, right? Okay, you have 3 engine rooms. That means you got 6 altogether, right?
Right.
So that would be more than enough right there for a new battleship.
Yeah, and think about it, like a battleship, dude. How many people love battleships? Like, battleships are cool. One of the best movies I've seen was Under Siege, right? It was on
Hang on.
Mighty Mo,
Hang
right?
on.
It was the
just
Mighty
watching a
Mo.
video
Mighty
on
Mo.
Erica Millennium.
Named after my home state. Good
Just
old
today
movie.
to see how cool she was.
No, I mean, like, I wish that.
Oh yeah.
I wish those guys that were up there could see this and be like, listen, this is guys that were in the Navy for a while and they really put a lot of heart and soul into their time in the Navy. And if they were going to try and get more people to join, bring back the battleships, but make sure that you have 2 or 3 in each fleet.
The problem now, guys, with the actual battleships is that they're all either museums or whatever. The problem is the dudes that know how to furbish them, engineering wise, and the turrets are all dying.
No, you refurbish though. You don't refurbish them. You leave them where they're at, right?
The guys that know how to get the turrets working are dying of old age.
But you build new ones with new technology.
We could build a new one. So that which takes us to the Zumwalts,
instead
the DD-1000 class, right?
And those are fucking junk. Those are fucking junk, and they don't need another carrier. Plain and simple. We need more fucking battleships.
I'll cover 2 stones. I'll cover 2 birds with 1 stone here. So I'm here stuck in San Diego, and we have Building 1000 at Pier 12. So Building 1000 is the Zumwalt class DDG, which is a complete, utter change from the way Navy had built ships. So this is some different voltage. It's an electric drive ship. It's all the theories and stuff like that on the ship is amazing. But technology has gone by so fast that even the guns that are supposed to fire 125 miles or whatever, the projectiles are so expensive that the guns have been already retired, even though they never got developed completely. But those ships are huge. We're talking about 15,000 tons or something. And those are the battleships. They're stealthy. They have electric drive instead of gas turbines. Derived directly through clutches to the CVT screws, and a lot of amazing new concepts with those ships, but they have not been cost effective and they don't fucking work. So
they fucking put too much technology.
2 have been built or 3 have been built. 1000, 1001, 1002, and they're amazing. And why we call them Building 1000 is because that first one came to San Diego and is like almost never leaves the pier. So the joke is that it's welded to the pier, and
see, they also renamed them DDGs because they was LCSs first.
Made no sense. Made no fucking sense to have that giant ship as a DDG. Should have been a cruiser. Could have been a battleship.
It's not a fucking battleship. Plain and simple. You got fucking on DDG. You got fucking 1 fucking turret. That's fucking it.
Yeah,
it's always forward. On the DDG I was on the moon, we didn't have a fucking turret back. We didn't have no 5-inch back. We had 1 fucking 5-inch. That's all we had.
This ship could. I mean, this one ship, if it came to true fruition, would be a strike group. It has range. It has armaments. It has packages to install of different weapon systems. To the point of these spaces to install these weapon systems is to match the ships to the weapon system that's for a particular job to go do. So you'd pull these, the close-in weapon systems out and put in some, Sparrow missile package, something like that, in the same slot. And it's pretty amazing concept, but maybe they just bit off too much at one time and spent too much money on it.
But they don't strike fear. They don't strike fear when you pull in a port. They ain't gonna strike fear. You build a new battleship based on the Iowa class, right?
Right.
That motherfucker will strike fear.
I agree with it.
That's how you get peace through strength. Right.
Here's what I'll say about carriers. If we're gonna do carriers, why not make them like the shit that you saw in the Avengers movie? If that's a reality that we can actually fucking do, maybe LM-25,000s can fucking do that shit.
Well, what was in the Avengers movie?
The Avengers.
It was a DEI movie, so I missed it, I guess.
No, well, it was before DEI became a stupid fucking thing that
because you had Samuel L. Jackson all there too. So
Samuel Jackson was on it, but he was. But Shield had this helo carrier, right? It was like helicopters, and it was an aircraft carrier that was in the air, and they had jets. They had everything that a regular aircraft carrier had, except they were above the air, and they had the invisibility cloak, which we know is actual reality. They do have invisibility cloaks now. Japan developed it. As far as I know, there's videos on it.
That's a lot of tonnage to put in the air.
That's a lot. It's a lot, but
yeah,
you want to win a war, you have people out on sea and you have people above you. You're trapped in two ways, right? You're triangulated that way, like this.
Exactly.
So that's me, and it sounds kind of crazy, but if it's a reality, why not do it? If you want people to get excited about being in the military and serving, then do something awesome.
What we need to do is, the problem with this one is that you can't get the funding for it because China and other smart military outfits like Russia know that the future is in hyperspeed weapons coming down on the decks of the ships vertically. So if you want to cripple an aircraft carrier, if you want to completely cripple an aircraft carrier, you just have a weapon. Even if it's a kinetic weapon, you don't even have to fucking have a bomb on it. If it comes down on top of that flight deck into the ship at Mach 6, straight down, it's gonna cripple that ship, and that's where we're at. They already have them. So
we already have them.
You have to have a pretty fucking reinforced deck on that battleship. That's all I'm saying.
But I'm saying we have the hypersonic missiles too.
Yeah,
because that shit's already been out there.
I didn't know that.
Mach 5, Mach 6, right?
I learned last week we're doing pretty well too on that, so that's good.
Yeah,
that was very comforting.
So we have them, and they're supposed to be installed on Zubals too.
Yep, yeah, we just talked about that. All of the DDGs, all of our current DDGs, which is a very successful platform, the ones I served on, they're still building them. So yeah, so one, they found the Zoom walls were so expensive they're just going to revamp the DDG productions for the Arleigh Burke class, and two, reinforce them to prevent themselves from getting involved with these weapons. Plus, they're a smaller target. So the Zoom waltz, good experiment. I honestly have to do some research to see if any of those three have gone on a deployment yet, like really like gone somewhere, because once you get up in open ocean with that crazy ass bow, I mean the bow that slants down on those, they had on those Confederate warships in going up and down rivers during the Confederate War and so on. They're very successful and so on, but do they work? Do they work when it's really fucking nasty and gnarly? Would you want to lose a $2 billion DDG with state-of-the-art technology to a couple of waves because you got in 20-foot seas on your way from the south coast of India to the Persian Gulf? I mean, that's a nasty stretch of water there.
They should have tested that at Carter Rock.
Yeah, hopefully they did, but I mean, who knows?
When I was in Washington, D.C., I was also in charge of Carter Rock, and in Carter Rock they had this really long building.
Absolutely amazing tech. I just want to tell the folks watching, Carter Rock, state-of-the-art research, absolute state-of-the-art research on development of cutting-edge technology for that stuff, for seaworthiness and you know, like you're about to explain this, and I'm not going to take your thunder, but
Yeah,
that is a very, very, very famous, world-renowned place, a command.
and you know, they had that, and they would build model ships like an aircraft carrier and see if it was seaworthy. So say they should be doing all those tests and making sure that they have the dimensions right for the scale, right? Like if it's 1/700th of a scale of the actual size of the ship, they need to make sure that the water in that aquarium or whatever matches that with wind speed, wind knots, and all that other stuff, and even creating currents. I think they do that too.
Yeah.
But you know, that place reminded me, when I went there, it looked like the guys from the Big Bang Theory.
Wow.
And then there was a place in Norco when I was in Seal Beach. We had a base in Norco, Northern Corona, and they had like a lot of NAVSEA stuff out there. And those guys out there looked like the Big Bang Theory guys too. I was like, holy shit. So, I mean, we have the capabilities to do it. It's just, are they willing to do it? Are they willing to build up the military? But the problem is for Hesketh and Trump and all those people is they're going to have to get people to want to join the military again. And as long as you keep on persecuting and battering the sex that was made to fight, you're not going to get them there.
So that's solved.
When you go on YouTube and you see shows where guys are like, there's no way if the draft happens, I'm going in the military. I'll go to jail because I'm not going to die for women and a country and a nation that hates me because I'm a dude.
But the speech during the swearing in ceremony set the tone. I guess people are arguing about whether he said sexes or he said the other word. What's the other word? I forget. But anyways, yeah, male or female. So that you know, it was always issues with birthing departments. When I was leaving the Navy, it was like I hated that shit. I was like dumbfounded that you have people come in the Navy. The gay dudes became more gay. They became more outwardly gay. They were comfortable with that, being more gay, being more themselves. Usually the ship store guys, right? I don't know why, but it works out that way, that the gay guys were in the ship store or operation specialists. I shouldn't say that, but anyways, but you had to go to your rack at night in a male birthing compartment, knowing that guy wasn't trying to fucking rape you, and it's just the way it is. Who cares, you know? But if you want a trans testicles birthing compartment for the fucking blue-haired, purple-haired motherfuckers, it's just so complicated. I mean, it's just, you guys got to admit that's such a distractor from the mission, from the fucking mission.
It is, Joe.
Like we all. You either want to kill people or destroy shit by the commanding officers or the commander in chief's direction, instead of like making this whole ship a political thing. Man, we're lucky we have fucking ice cream socials and Benihana Day or whatever those.
Seal Beach picnics.
Yeah, Seal Beach picnics. burgers in front. Yeah, all that shit. Other than people bickering about who lives where in the birthing department, but a lot of suicides have come from situations and those suicides aren't solved because you can't ask a kid why they killed themselves. But a lot of girls, a lot of young ladies kill themselves, and the guys are probably not far behind that are not sure of what their status is. That's just really sad. But I mean, you just we need to find, like you said, Rocky and Gilly, people need to get their fucking feet on the ground and understand who they are, where they came from, and just shut the fuck up and live your life knowing that the next future thing you want to think about for a change is worthless. Don't spend the energy on that. Just be a human being that you were brought up, you know. When you were 3, you weren't fucking around. Your parents were taking care of you. When you're 10, you know, you got nurtured all the fucking way to maybe you joined the military, and now you have a company commander or boot camp company commander, whatever. And now you have a chief helping your life once you get there. Just fucking get your job done. Don't. If you can't figure yourself out, don't join the military. You know.
But that falls back on the fucking parents, how they're raising a lot of raising these fucking kids nowadays.
Yeah, you're absolutely
everybody's
right.
growing up.
Absolutely.
Oh, you're a winner. No, motherfucker. No, little Johnny. You're not a fucking winner. You're a fucking loser. Get your shit together.
But also, it even goes back. It even goes back to what they're teaching the kids in school. And that's the problem is you got parents that are working so hard to make ends meet, and the kids are being raised by the schools who are teaching absolute fucking garbage that fucks everybody's head up.
But also get back to that, right?
I hope this gets fixed.
My parents worked. My dad worked 2 jobs just so we could have fucking, do sports, Boy Scouts, all that shit, right?
My dad did the same thing back in the day.
But now these parents are fucking lazy. Unlike our parents. Our parents were great parents. They wasn't lazy. They taught us right from fucking wrong. A lot of these kids, their parents ain't teaching that fucking bullshit nowadays.
Oh yeah,
well, I guess we're lucky. I did not care for my parents at all, but they did not steer me wrong. They did not.
I teach River to stand up for fucking self at school. Yeah. Somebody hits you, you better fucking fish it, boy. But you better not start the fucking fight.
Yeah, but you have to have a foundation of right and wrong.
Yes.
This is right. This is wrong. Do what's right. Don't do what's wrong. And until people actually get with that, it's not going to work. But if you're teaching everybody that it's all relative, I hate that fucking term. Oh, if it's all relative, let's play the game of it's all relative when it comes to really bad things that happen to people. But if it's all relative and I don't think it's wrong, who the fuck are you to say? Because there's nobody above me to say it's wrong or right.
It's super complex now because the Gen Z folks, you watch some of these vids or the reels or whatever, it's just their minds are everywhere. And it's not that it's just negative, like everybody's against me. It's just they don't have a direction. They don't have a direction to go.
They wasn't taught how to have a backbone.
Simple thing.
Plain simple. I'm
going to get married. I'm going to meet a gal. I'm going to have a relationship. I'm going to get married. We're going to have kids. And you and I are geezers. We're all geezers. We're all geezers and been exposed to that. And if it doesn't work out, who cares? You just get divorced. But carry on. But these kids are like lost. They're like, well,
they are lost.
All these things I'm in college. I'm being handed a bachelor's degree opportunity. I'm in grad school. I'm doing this, but I have no idea where I'm going. I'm going to march against this. I mean, it's like, it must be terrible to be one of these kids these days. It's just torture. And they think they're doing the best they can do. But God help us, God, I mean, I'm not saying they're wrong. I'm just saying that this is where we've gotten through the Biden-Harris administration whatever has let these kids to just let their minds go fucking insane and never be happy about anything. And just like nothing's ever good enough,
I can explain that. What I can explain is there's a guy named Aaron Clary, and he's an economist, and he wrote a book called The Book of Numbers, the return on investment in finding a wife or something like that. I
love you, Rocky. You're a good guy.
And then there's another one called A World Without Men, a look at economy with no men in it. And in these books, it explains a lot of stuff. If you've ever heard of Helen Smith, she did a book called Men on Strike. And it came out in 2015 or 2012. I read that book. It was really good. Everybody should be reading that shit. It explains what's going on right now. And what's going on is because of all the stupid wokeism, man hate, misandry, and everything, guys are not even trying anymore. There's no point in trying to get a girlfriend because if I get married and get divorced, I'm going to lose half of everything that I earned, and I'm not going to have access to my children because the courts are biased against me. So, in other words, I'm not going to get married. And now that I see all these videos on YouTube and TikTok of women going on street interviews saying, I'm married for 10 years and I'm going to cheat on my husband because I'm on a girls' trip in Vegas. Why would any man want to get married? Why would he want to get serious with a woman when she can make a false accusation like Amber Heard and get away with it for
immediately
years? Yep. Like, hello, when is there going to be accountability? You're destroying the country by giving everybody this fucking opportunity to lie and not get away with it. And now guys have woken up to this crap. They don't like to talk about it because a lot of guys that I know They're bitter about it. They're bitter because everything they wanted in life had to do with getting a wife and having kids and having a good life, right? But you can't have that when you have a certain part of the population unhinged on OnlyFans and doing all this other stuff and bragging about, I fucked 1,057 guys in 12 hours. Oh, yeah, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get fucked up the ass by as many guys as I can now. What kind of disaster are we doing? Why is this even popular? Why is it even popular? It's destroying the fabric of society. It's like Rome all over again. And then you have to look at these guys that are not doing this stuff. They're going to other countries to find a wife. And if they're smart, they'll stay out there and not come back to the West where feminism has destroyed.
Can you get a girl from another country to come here? I mean, the mail order brides or those guys.
You can, but you don't. What Rocky's saying is you want to keep them over there.
You don't want them to come here and see movies like fucking Barbie and the stupid Marvel movies where the women are praised and all this other stuff and all this other stuff where it's not reality because these women get these fucking stupid ideas in their heads. Like Eddie Murphy talked about this in the 80s. I think it was Eddie Murphy Raw. He was like, "What have you done for me lately?" Yeah, you don't bring those girls back to the United States because in the United States we gave them freedom, and what did they do? They turned around and they brutate everybody.
Yeah, that's
everyone.
My whole neighborhood that I left when I sold my house was like right across the street. I mean, it's like a mile from here, and there's like a Filipino neighborhood. All the biggest, fanciest houses we knew were owned by Filipinos, usually Master Chiefs that had retired. But the interesting thing about the house, the weird thing for me was the concept. As born and raised in America, I did not understand the concept of having 4 or 5 generations living in the same house. The house was impressive. The presentation was impressive. And you drive by, you're like, how did this guy manage this? But basically, what my wife and I found out was that they would have 3 or 4 generations of folks from the, you had an American guy, which goes back to the previous podcast about Marcos and the deals we did with Marcos as president of the PI to expedite Filipino guys into the Navy, which is great because those guys work hard. But in this neighborhood, they would buy a giant mansion or McMansion kind of, and have 2 or 3 generations of folks, and having the house would help them bring their cousins and parents and grandparents over from PI to the house. So how much privacy did you have? It doesn't matter. If the family works that way, that you can have, 25 people from the same bloodline living in one house, that's a McMansion. But for me personally, as an American guy, that my American style is I need some room, and I would want to expand. If anything, my dream goal would be to have a house on like 25 acres and a little mountainside in New England somewhere, and the mowing of the lawn would be a headache, but just being there would be really cool, But I don't want to support generations and generations of kids, although I'm almost doing that now, ironically, but it's just my stepkids. I'm helping them out. So, but yeah, the whole exploiting the American system to bring folks from other countries here, I'm not really a big fan of that,
But what I don't understand is if you come to this country, you better be loyal to the U.S.
Yeah. No shit. Yeah. And you got one dude. Yeah, that's a great point, because got one guy. So yeah. Guy that, let's say the guy was a master chief. Some master chief from the Philippines buys this giant house and brings his whole fucking nuclear family to the house. Now, when I joined the fucking Navy, my first ship was the USS Carl Vinson. And I remember this to this day. We were on the pier. They had different levels of working parties. So if you're on duty, You got duty every 4 days. You got to spend 24 hours a day on the ship. You can either have a watch or you can have a job you had to do, like a Delta working party or an Alpha working party or a Charlie working party, depending on the different chores you had to do with that working party. The whole fucking section would show up for this working party to get a job done. So if the giant trucks would pull up with pork chops and delivering all these groceries to this ship that had 5,000 service members working on it, those things were big. But I remember this time we were on the pier in Alameda, and I was on the Carl Vinson, and no shit, this Master Chief was out there directing stuff. He's like directing traffic, doing stuff, telling us what to do, yelling at us, and he would yell at a lot of people in Tagalog. So I'm standing like 20 feet from this guy, and he's yelling at people. They had these escalators that would take these giant boxes of food to the ship, right? So we were unloading these 100-pound boxes of pork chops and put them on the conveyor, and the conveyor would bring them to the ship. And this guy's yelling at some people, and he's yelling at his car. He's got his car on the pier, and he's like, bah, 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 pointing at his trunk. And dudes would take the next 100-pound box of pork chops and put it in his trunk, just throw it in his trunk. And so he got 2 or 3 of those boxes in his trunk and then closed the trunk and drove off. And, you know, hey, you got to take an opportunity. You just got to, I really think it's better to be comfortable with the fact that you follow the legal law. After having been arrested twice myself in 6 days, having done the whole bonding thing and having to get paid to get out of jail in high school, it's just better to try to do the right thing and not be a corrupt motherfucker. But what can you do?
But get back on the goddamn them naming a boat after Clinton, right? Why the fuck they want to name a boat after a goddamn pedophile?
I have no idea.
And the president's been fucking impeached.
Clinton should be the last dude ever to be considered for a carrier. A fucking carrier. But carriers are named after presidents, and they picked that guy's ass.
But but he was actually impeached. Where they say Trump was impeached. No, Trump was not impeached.
For spraying his jizz on his girl's face and blouse. You know, I mean,
he got his dick sucked right there in the Oval Office.
Many
then
times.
he's been named going to Epstein Island multiple times.
And then
why the fuck?
We're gonna name an aircraft carrier after that guy. What the fuck did he do when he was in office? That was a good.
Well, first of all, he fucked over the military. That's how he got us out of debt, right? What they say, right? He took money away from the fucking military. That's what he did. So I remember when I got to Japan, we didn't have enough money to fix the ship right. So we had to jerry rig a lot of the fucking fixes we had.
Oh, to get the berthing compartments ready so guys couldn't look into the girls' vaginas.
I'm talking about the engine room shit. And then when we got back to Everett, Washington, we got reported there. Fucking Desron, they kicked the shit out of us for that shit. Because we didn't have the money for fucking parts.
That's true. That is very true.
You know, they spent the money. They spent the money to build up the barriers around the ladder well, so you couldn't look at the girls' pussies and pervert from the top ladder, so you can see in the berthing compartments. Yeah,
that's the last president that should never have a fucking ship named after him. Period.
Clinton.
If you're going to name a ship after somebody, you name it after somebody that's been given the Medal of Honor, right? You know, recipient of that or something like that.
Yeah, I would rather have so the carriers are named after presidents, but I would rather have them change the context of the naming of the carriers to somebody else that deserves it, rather than just picking some cocksucking president.
Exactly.
Then you know, how about George Bush the second? You know, I mean, he's already got one. Well, why not have two? So that's probably what they did. But I'll tell you what, I'll die. I will fucking die if they name a ship after Obama. I will. I'm telling you.
Or fucking Biden.
So I just dawned on me now that I should consider myself lucky that they didn't choose Obama for that carrier name. I hope I die. I don't want to live a short life, but I hope I do not see that in my life.
They just need to get rid of David carriers after fucking presidents. By the way,
yeah, I totally agree, man. Why not just name them CV whatever, CVN, leave it at that, man.
You like to do the fucking like the old battleships, right?
Or go back.
Or go back. Some of the subs named after states, right? Start naming after states.
We got plenty of
fucking states out there that's never been named.
But think about it. We got plenty of fucking presidents before that did a good job. We could name a carrier after Taft. You know, we could name a carrier after McKinley. You know, we could name another carrier after FDR rather than Teddy Roosevelt. You know, I mean, we could just keep going.
I wouldn't name one after FDR at all, because FDR is the reason why we're in this fucking mess with the welfare system now.
I don't care what bad stuff can be said about. I would literally let them name a carrier after Johnson. I mean, you know.
I'd say name one after fucking Rocky fucking Andretti. That's the fucking name right there.
Guess I don't like letting too much. I hear you. Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Gilly.
A lot of the problems that we dealt with started with him. Affirmative action, Anita Hill.
Yeah, because he was getting his dick sucked.
Anita Hill was like the original Me Too, right?
That's exactly right. Perfect.
And so, you know, that happens in 1994, 1995. I'm still in high school at this time, by the way. And I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, why is she saying he did this when he didn't do this? And why are they making a big deal about it? And then you had affirmative action. And at first I thought affirmative action was okay. But if you're giving someone a job when they're not qualified to do it, that's a bad thing to do.
What side, at that point in your life, what side did you take? If he came on TV and said, I didn't do it, did you believe him? Or
at first, I didn't believe his ass.
I wouldn't believe him because I'd seen a lot of movies where I saw men lying. Because all the movies, all the bad people are really the guys, right? But in a lot of movies now, like Forrest Gump, the ultimate fucking villain is Jenny. Jenny's the fucking villain, dude.
I love Jenny. She didn't mean badly.
She got this guy to get her pregnant, take his money, run away, and then leave him with the kid after she dies. And the whole time he simped for her and loved her, and she never appreciated him once. So that movie, if you look at it through the red pill lens, the truth about men and women, you're gonna realize Jenny's a villain.
Tell you what sucks. What for me about that movie, it's an epic movie, but if I talk to my kids about it and they're in their 30s, they're like, "What movie?" You know, I mean, you can't sit them down. You got to watch this with me. You got to sit down with me and watch this movie. And they won't do it, but yeah, we're lucky to have that movie in our lives, and we're willing to spend the time to watch it at the time it was out because we didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, but I mean, with the whole 1990s, Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas and all that stuff, he didn't do that stuff to her. And
the best
got a repeat of that with the Kavanaugh guy, right? The Kavanaugh guy who got the false accusation from a chick that looked like she got punched in the face with glasses on, like that's what her face looked like. And it's like, why are we letting these people lie? Why are they allowed to lie?
We busted a lot of them. Who's that fucking dumbass actor that made up that fake attack on him and got busted? I love that fact.
Oh, the Joliet guy?
Jesse Smollett.
Yeah, that
dude, I know his name.
He's my role model, man. I mean, I stick with that dude to say, hey, this is the dumbest of the dumb, and you made history, buddy.
Well, so, you know,
so get back.
Here's a message.
Justin Smalley or whatever his name is. Yeah,
here's a message to Hollywood because you guys, you went full retard. Never go full retard. It was in a fucking movie, Hollywood. Quit going full retard. Nobody likes.
Get back to Forrest Gump real quick, because I've had this in my head since you brought it up. I thought the best scene of that movie when he was outside, his mom was getting nailed by the fucking teacher, right, or principal, whatever, right? And he came out,
Yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
But
You must really want to graduate from high school, don't you?
yeah,
Or
but
something like that, right?
how realistic is that to what people actually do nowadays?
It's very realistic.
And
I think it happens. I mean, I would think it would be happening in not in my sphere. I'm too old for that, but you know, I mean, it's a very realistic scene.
yeah,
It's a very realistic scene.
like you
Your mama really wants you to get this scholarship, don't you, son? And he goes, hey, hey. Yeah.
I mean,
I thought that
a
was
great
funny
movie.
as hell right there. That was one of the best scenes in the movie.
but what I'm
But
saying
the prop,
is,
yeah, the issue
yeah.
now is we can't ever get the kids back to Tom Hanks because if they're politically aware, they're just going to steer away from Tom Hanks because Tom's been fucking himself lately. Great
Yeah.
dude, my opinion, great dude, great actor, and all this other stuff, and did a bunch of stuff like particularly with the military with Lieutenant Dan and Lieutenant Dan's career. Goddamn, you know, that's just been great for us all. But Tom continued with his meme about the dinosaurs with purple capes coming out of the sky to land on the planet before Donald Trump gets elected president. That sent the message to say, yeah, this guy's a little crazy.
Well, yeah, they're all involved in a secret society, and when they worship Satan.
I'm sure you've seen that one though, right? The meme, the video of him.
Yeah.
What do you think about Donald Trump's presidency? And he says, I think that when dinosaurs come out of the sky wearing purple capes, before that guy will be elected president. And it's like,
well, that was actually
so disappointing.
That was actually a real because they asked Nancy Pelosi that same question, right? Is it that same real? Tom Hanks was at the very end of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, a lot of the problems that we face in the military right now, they were started during the Clinton era.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And then it compounded and got worse because when you got another guy in office, he was a Republican, but he was more like a rhino. And then you got another person that was a Democrat, and they said, hey, you can lie to the fucking American people now, and you can manipulate them using the news. And guess what happened? That happened. And now we have people that are confused about what they are. Some of them think they're fucking cats, and they need to go fucking shit in a cat box.
Where the fuck did this shit come from?
Or they do a Tide Pod challenge.
Or
some stupid.
I am lost on why people think they're cats.
And now you have Matt Walsh, and Matt Walsh is right on some things, but he's not right on a lot of things. And he's like, you know, when he talks to that woman, and she's like, well, what's a woman? And she's like, well, I can't qualify. I mean, she's a woman. You can tell she's a woman. And she's like, well, I don't think you can do that. And he's like, well, you know what a cat is? What's a cat? And she fucking can't talk because she's fucking retarded.
Did you ever watch his show about what is a woman, right? Did you ever watch that whole thing?
No.
I watched that whole thing, and it shows how fucking mentally ill these fucking doctors are and all these trans people are. Because you have people that went from man to woman, right? And they regret it because all the side effects.
Yeah.
They manipulated their fucking DNA.
Remember, like I was telling you, I'm reading that book called Hostage to the Devil by Malachi Martin. And the case I'm reading right now, it's about a guy that was transgender, and he got the demons cast out of him. But the guy that did the exorcism, he ended up getting bad heart conditions. Like, you pay a price when you do that stuff, when you do exorcisms, from what I'm learning. But you know, that brings up the whole thing with that open letter that the Byzantine church sent, right? You know, the Byzantine church is the Orthodox Christian church, right? That's the church that was started by the apostles that saw Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah.
And guess what? They don't have a problem with feminism in their church. But Catholics and Reformed churches do. And that's a big problem.
Except for, and this brings us to that stupid DC bishop bitch.
Yeah. And
brings us to that right there.
Yeah, because those guys are right. You guys are, the church is destroyed. I could actually read you in the Bible what's actually going on, because it's actually written in the Bible. It's called the Church of Thyatira. And if you guys want me to, I'll read it to you. And
you have the time? You have the time?
Go ahead.
All right, I'll read it to you. I'll read it. It's the King James version, right?
This is your show, bro.
Yeah, this is This is the Church of Thyatira, and it's Revelation chapter 2, verse 18. It says, "And unto the angel of the church of Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of God," that's Jesus Christ, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding, I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel. Now, what is Jezebel known as to the rest of the world?
A hoe.
Yeah. And a rabid feminist, right? Which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. That's all Gnosticism, by the way. Gnosticism is where you get Kabbalah from. If you know about the demiurge and all this other stuff, right? It's crazy. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. That's why the church is falling apart right now. Behold, I will
remain a hoe then.
Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. So when God does justice on people, it's not what you mainly think it is. It's going to be a poetic justice when you get punished. If you believe in that sort of thing. I'm not telling you have to believe it, but that's what it says. Now, because of that false bishop, I'm going to go to 2 Timothy, where it says you're not supposed to have female pastors because of Jezebel coming into the church. Now you have female pastors that are not supposed to teach. And this is
Are we talking about that crazy bitch that tried to hammer Trump after?
Yes.
Yeah, that fucking shows a nutcase. Oh, that was horrible. That was.
So I'm going to read this to you.
I'm not saying it was horrible for Trump. That I'm all Trump. I'm just saying that she was so fucking out of line with that sermon. I mean, it was just wrong time to do it. She didn't have to join the fucking club and do this and that, but to go out of her way to just deliberately assault the dude because he's sitting in his chair and needs to keep his mouth shut was just brutal. Okay, but at the same time, Trump did his speech and hammered the fuck out of Biden and Harris. So in the end, whatever. She's going to lose because she took her opportunity to clap back.
But that was not the
that's
time.
Probably going to affect her career.
Yeah, but
she's removed now. She got removed.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Here's the reason why no one should have allowed this in the first place. I'm going to read. It's just chapter 2. It's a short chapter. It's in 1 Timothy. It says, it's 1 Timothy. Yeah. I exhort thee, therefore, that first of all, supplications, prayers, and intercessions, and giving of thanks be made for all men, for kings, and for all that are in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life of godliness and honesty. How many people are not doing that? Now, apply what I'm reading to what's going on today, and you're going to see a lot of problems with it. For this good is acceptable in the sight of God and our Savior, who will have all men to be saved and to come unto knowledge of the truth. For there is one God and one mediator between God and men, the man Christ Jesus. So guess what, women? If you think that the Savior is a female, you're freaking wrong. It's a man. That's why he was a man when he came on earth and he died on the cross. Now back to verse 6, who gave himself a ransom for all to be testified in due time. Whereunto I am ordained a preacher, an apostle. I speak the truth in Christ and lie not, a teacher of the Gentiles in faith and verity. I will therefore that men pray everywhere, lifting up holy hands without wrath and doubting. In like manner also the women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, and not be broided hair, gold or pearls, or costly array. So look at how women dress today. Is that what they're doing?
They all have purple hair.
And not doing that at all. But Verse 10, but which becometh women professing godliness with good works. Let the woman learn in silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach nor usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith, charity, and holiness with sobriety. And that's not what women are doing today. And that's part of the reason society's fallen apart. And I can even go deeper into Genesis chapter 3 and explain to you what actually happened there. And he breaks it down. Adam wasn't deceived. He might not have been there, but she was talking to the serpent, right? The serpent that is the devil, the red dragon, Satan.
But
he tricked
guys. But for the guys who are not religious,
yes,
at all, like me, and I'm listening to you, and I'm following along here.
What I'm also trying to bring in there is I'm trying to bring in the dynamic of men and women. And
yeah, I hear you.
And that applies to what's going on now.
Yes, and it applies to what's going on right now because you have two sexes that are supposed to complement each other.
I'm just so happy we're going back towards that direction. The initial speech from him was brutal. I don't know. I didn't applaud everything he said. Hammering the fuck out of the Biden Harris administration, but some things I did applaud, like the immediate application of the two sexes. So genders. The word I was looking for earlier was genders, and I don't know whether he said sexes or genders, but it was going to be male or female. And then you do the gender. The gender people are like, well, there's 72 genders, but the sexist people are saying I was either born. It's just so common sense.
Did they
How
actually
did you come out of the womb? How did you come out of the womb onto this earth? You're either a male or a female. So shut the fuck up.
Plain and simple.
Did they actually say 72 genders?
Well, that's the rule now. That's a general statement now.
Okay, well, guess what?
72.
Here's another thing from the Bible. You know that King Solomon had a ring, right? He controlled 72 principalities or demons with that thing.
72
Where do you think that number 72 comes from?
Yeah.
The same 72 stars that are right where the apotheosis of George Washington is. There's 72 stars. And then if you look at Paramount Pictures, there's stars going like that on it, right? Guess what that signifies? The 72 stars, the angels, the sons of God coming down on Mount Hermon to go and have sex with women to create giants and Nephilim.
Wow.
It's all interconnected. And most people don't see it. Like, I'm telling you, man, if you ever want to talk to me about this offline, I'll talk to you.
I said 72 randomly because I saw it on the news that there's 72 genders.
Yeah.
But it all correlates.
Number 72 correlates to a lot of other things.
And that's where
biblical.
You know, anybody that's watching this, or will watch it later, right? After we post on Rumble or Twitter, right? Just keep an open mind. You don't have to be religious. Just keep an open mind. That's all we ask.
I would say you don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Read it for yourself.
Keep an open mind of what's going on today and how this translates what the Bible's saying that's happening today.
My view is that we're here to talk about the shit that your parents would say to never talk about at a family gathering. So
this is just everyday talk.
The blessing about this.
Honestly,
everyday talk.
Everyday talk.
Some sea stories thrown in there every now and then. Some old Navy vets. That's what this is about right here.
I love it.
This is really about us too. Helps us reconnect. If we're going through something, hey, we can help each other out.
Look, for the audience, you fucking audience folks need to understand. You doggone audience folks, you blessed audience folks need to understand that our spirits crossed. This group crossed on a random assignment to a particular U.S. Navy warship through the recruitment process, and whatever reasons we wind up accepting recruitment to the Navy or
recruitment to the Navy,
going to our schools and doing all this other stuff to get to the point where we got orders to this particular ship at this particular time. And God save us all. God bless us all that we are still connected. And
Well, see,
you know, you cannot take away from us this spiritual connection between shipmates. And shipmates, you've heard that phrase or whatever, or not, but for the layman and the totally uninterdoctrinated person, this is just like a Band of Brothers or some other show about talking about serving together in Vietnam or serving together in Viet. It's the same thing, except there's no fucking director that has been contracted to put together a script, to hire particular actors to put this Band of Brothers show together that is super popular, or whatever the case may be. You're getting the fucking flesh and blood of the people that did it at that time. So I think that's important to just throw that out there before.
Well, see, me and Rocky.
I don't care where we go. I don't care where we go with this thing, but it's like this is us. We did it. We did it, and we did it together. And you folks out there that sign on to listen to this shit, if you like it, great. If you don't, I don't give a fuck, because we did it, and we would do it again in 2 seconds if we had our health and we had our youth and we had 20 years behind us. I would go into combat in fucking 5 minutes. Call me on the phone. I will put my skivvies in my sea bag. I have my sea bag from boot camp to this day, from 1982, and let's just go. I mean, I know they're going to take good care of us, but what do you want to do?
See,
you
like,
want to kill people? You want to blow shit up? I'm going. Like, call me up.
See, like me and Rocky. See,
Rocky, you're there. I know it. I know.
See, me and Rocky, we was a week apart in boot camp. See, we was at actually fireman school, since we came in undesignated, right? We was a week apart. They never got talking. We was at the fucking smoke break at the picnic table we had out there. Everybody was sitting around like, okay, where you guys going? I said the 5. Rocky said, I'm going to the 5. Then old Winston, he goes, I'm going to the 5 too.
Yeah, and shipmate in the Navy, a lot of times it was used as an insult. Shipmate, you're wrong.
No.
Really, it's supposed to be a term of endearment.
Not as a leader.
It's shipmate, but a term of endearment.
See, I don't call people shipmates, right? I ain't gonna call y'all shipmates because you're my brothers.
Yeah.
But
because they're all yelling at your ass, Gilly, you fucking degenerate. Shipmate. If anyone's gonna say fucking shipmate, it would be to your ass, because you're out there fucking going crazy.
Remember when I was on the mess,
stretching the rules and getting arrested and fucking all this other shit. Gilly, you're a fucking rebel, man.
Get back to what that fucking fake ass bishop was saying, right?
Yeah.
You talk about Joe, like Trump fucking going after Biden and Harris. He had every right to, because they fucked up this country. But what that bitch tries to fucking put out there is like the fact that, oh, these trans people are going to be a danger. No, motherfuckers, they're not. No one gives a fuck that they're gay. If you want to play dress up, play dress up. But you're not going to be in a women's bathroom. You're not going to be in a fucking man's sports, period. Women's sports, period.
Why would you allow that to happen, knowing that men are better athletes than women for the most part? Like,
and men are stronger, biological.
All those records that got destroyed by guys that said they were girls. I would say no. This is not reality. Those don't count.
Just like that fucking band that went by Leah Thompson, right? The swimmer, right?
Yeah.
He couldn't cut it in the men's division, so he's like, "Oh, I'm a woman now." And then what's her name?
I think the number that he was, like the number out of 1 to like 1,000, he was like 475 best.
But then
all the women
out that, and actually that girl from Kentucky at the women's championship, right? I can't remember her name. She's a big proponent of getting men out of the fucking women's sports from Kentucky.
Gilly, what the fuck is wrong with your ear, man? Your left ear. What your ear? No, your ear, man. It's like crushed, man.
Crushed? Oh, it's because of this fucking my cowboy hat, my America hat.
I thought you've been like a pugilist or something like that.
No, that's why I left, because
it pounded in so many times.
The hat got delivered to the fucking neighbor's house, so I had to go get it. Ring their doorbell. Tell them, hey, I'm not stealing your packages. Mine got delivered here by accident. So We don't get like I'm saying, fucking that Leah Thompson, fucking dumbass, fucking took away fucking the women's championship from this other girl. And the other girl actually beat him.
But
Oh, cool.
what's so sad is there's people that think that that's okay, and when you're like at that point where you're like, all I can do is laugh because people are doing it to themselves. They're shooting themselves in the foot to try and be politically correct. And I'm gonna say this, like I've said it before: political correctness is weakness, and if you have to use political correctness to get your way, you've lost me. I'm never going to go to your side because you can't tell me it's right or wrong. You have to use politics. And everyone knows politics is the game of lies. It's the game of lies and manipulation to get something done that they know is fucking wrong.
Yeah, to get
reelected. That's where Headset, and that's where fucking Pete needs to come in and kick all that shit out of the fucking military. I posted that shit on Facebook.
What is the point in politics? Is to get reelected. I mean, keep your job, keep your employment.
Get reelected, get fucking rich now. That's the point of politics. They're not.
If I was a sushi, if I had a sushi restaurant, I want to have good sushi and get. And that's
why Little Tate said one time when he was talking about Dan Crenshaw came aboard, right? Came about. He said that motherfucker needs to be stripped of his fucking Navy, his military record, and being a SEAL.
Which one?
Dan Crenshaw. The one-eyed motherfucker. Dan Crenshaw.
Was a Navy SEAL. Crenshaw, right? The fag. Yeah.
That motherfucker, he was whining. Oh, we need a bigger raise. We don't make enough money. No, motherfucker, you're a public servant. You ain't supposed to get fucking be rich on a public servant salary. Plain and simple. Like Rocky said one time too. Okay, you go get E3 fucking pay as congressman, senator, and TRICARE for your fucking health insurance.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind making more money on my retirement, but it's the way it's energy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole thing with the letter to the church or the letter to Trump and RFK Jr. There's a lot in there, man. I read that article and I was like, these guys are spot on, and that is the Orthodox Church that did that. And they're like saying, hey, you guys are cursed unless you repent. And repenting is changing your mind and changing your ways and starting to do what's right. Now, hopefully, Trump takes that on board and actually does repent. I don't know if he will. I hope he would. I wish he would, because it would help him in eternity, maybe, not just what's going on right now, but once a person goes on to the next world, the spirit realm, that's it. You're either going to one or two places. So, and that's if you believe that sort of stuff. And if you don't believe that sort of stuff and you refuse to look into it, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. I mean, that goes back down to what religion you are, right? Because, I mean, look at what Hindu, right? What is it? Reincarnation, I think it is, a Hinduism, right?
Yeah, there's a pantheon of 1,000 gods and all that other stuff. And Hinduism, Gnosticism, but the difference between Christianity and all these other things is a real Christian. One, you're going to obey the commandments of God, right? The Old Testament ones that you can obey, the New Testament ones. You're probably going to celebrate the feasts of Israel because those are rehearsals and they all have to do with Jesus' first coming and his second coming. Those feasts being fulfilled. Like the Passover was actually fulfilled when Jesus Christ died on the cross. He was the Passover lamb that died for the sin of the world, right? As John Baptist said, look, the Lamb of God who taketh away the sin of the world. But if you can't get past that, you got bigger problems. You got to look at what's actually going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on that it's pretty accurate to what the Bible's saying. And this thing is thousands of years old and it's still spot on accurate. Like one of these days, I'll read Genesis chapter 3. It'll be an eye opener. And it may piss a lot of people off, but I don't care. I'm going to read it word for word, and I'll give a little bit of my commentary. But I'm going to read it.
If it pisses people off, who cares, right? You're doing something right when you start pissing people off.
But
just like YouTube banned up when we start talking about the fucking corona and all that bullshit, right?
Yeah.
We got banned. That video got banned. Speaking of that, right? I saw today, I don't know if y'all saw it either, the CIA is finally coming out and saying that it was probably the coronavirus, corona, was fucking lab leaked.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So,
They had finally, because
we
now
knew
they
that.
know.
Trump said it 4 years ago. I mean,
Yeah. But now they know motherfuckers like us are fucking looking into shit.
That's exactly what they don't want.
They're trying to control the narrative is what they're trying to do when they came out with that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, it's really bad. I wish people would stop lying to other people to get more money. Because where are you going to take that money when you die?
nowhere.
I'm just
That's
waiting
why
for the
Fauci doesn't have
JFK.
a fucking security detail
It's
anymore.
like it's like it's
Fuck
like
that shit.
it's like
Oh,
the
like Fauci? Japan wants his ass too. Japan wants to extradite him too. Not just
I know
Russia.
Russia
Japan
does. I know Russia does too.
Yeah, Japan does now too because Japan is seeing all the fucking 400, 300% of fucking heart attacks, blood clots, everything like we've been seeing here.
Yeah, it's bad. And I hope that this stuff gets resolved and that, freedom of speech is restored. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom to lie. How about telling the truth? How
Yeah.
about making free speech the truth?
Well, that goes back
Like
to
it or
ethics,
not.
and ethics have been, like you said, both you guys said ethics have just fucking gone to shit, man.
Yeah, you got to have morals, ethics, and principles.
Yeah, and it's just fucking gone. Everybody's trying to save themselves
And
from
you know what?
nothing. They might save themselves from nothing. They just want to say whatever you might accuse me of. I didn't do it. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I really hate that. And takes us back to the military, particularly to petty officers, and I don't know much about the Army or the Air Force stuff, but the guys that understand that they have responsibilities. If you think about it, actually, life in general is about that. You could be a regular dude. You could be anything. You could do anything. But if you understand your life is your responsibility, and you're not going to blame somebody else on things that don't go well for you. Takes us right back to men understanding. If they understand that, Rocky, takes me right back to what you said about men not wanting to get involved with women, because they know that they don't have to absorb this crap and then dig themselves out of it later on.
Yeah.
Because it's a risk. It's a huge risk.
Huge risk.
It's so sad. That's a very sad part of America.
There's a great video on YouTube, and it's by a guy named, he does Redonkulous Regiment. And he's a retired Army E9.
You got to drop all that shit in the comments.
Not his name, but he did one on, he's military, right? He did a actual risk assessment of getting involved with a woman nowadays.
Yeah, yeah.
It was a great risk assessment lecture. It was only like 15 minutes long. It's like doing an ORM assessment in front of everybody and saying, hey, this is what we got to look at. This is what we got to look at. Here's the risks. Here's the severity of it. Here's how it can happen.
With a relationship with a woman. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's sad that it's even that way, because I never would have thought that any of that stuff was real until I started seeing it for myself in the Navy. Because I started to really see it a lot at every command, and it always bugged me. But when I got out of the Navy and found these videos on YouTube by accident, because my sons were going through problems, I started looking into this stuff, and I found out this is what's actually going on. And men are finding out the truth, and men are not happy.
Yeah, here's the thing. You're right, but as a New England guy from the 80s, 70s, 60s, you guys, we would sort ourselves out and make a plan. So you're dating a girl, and then literally they would buy a house before they got married, and then plan. I mean, these engagements would go on for 12, 16, 18 months long to get to the perfect wedding. They already had their house either well grounded or paid for, and that's kind of how it went. But now it's kind of like, that's where I grew up from. But now it's kind of like you either fuck first and then figure out how to get out of it later on.
Yeah.
But the sexual relationship drives the whole thing, and if it's fucking toxic or illegal or forbidden, then you're totally fucked. So why even do it in the first place? Because it's forbidden. Don't do it, especially the chiefs banging some kids, male chiefs banging some fucking 19-year-old females that just joined the Navy. I mean, they probably expected it. Come on,
That's
that's
what
the
that
saddest fucking thing of it all.
It is. It's hypergamy, though. Like, have you ever heard of The Rational Male with Rollo Tomasi? He wrote this book called The Rational Male, and he talks about it. It's called hypergamy. And it's men will date down, but women will date up all the time. They will always try to get the best deal.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so
I'm with that.
Go for the higher ranking guy.
I'm with that, but you have so many rules where you can't do that in the military.
They're still doing it. I mean, if you saw last year, Rollo Tomasi recorded, I think, almost all of the incidents of teachers doing bad things with their students that were underage.
Shit, I wish I had a teacher growing up that was fucking hot that wanted to fuck. Come on now.
For the longest time, they would say, well, this person had sex, and then they started saying the R word, right? Rape or grape. But shit. Because, look, it is what it is.
You can't rape the fucking willing. Come on now. You can't rape the willing.
Yeah, but it's still wrong in statutory rape.
But didn't you have a teacher in high school that you fucking had a crush on?
No, they were all ugly.
I did. I had one, boy. She was fucking hotter. My biology teacher, boy, she was fucking hot. I'm like, damn. I couldn't keep focus in class because she had the perfect ass, big old titties, right? I mean, just everything was perfect on her, right? I couldn't keep fucking focus on anything.
I didn't have.
But get down to the women, because a lot of women that go into the military, they're looking for husbands. That's what they're looking for.
You know what? There's a reason they say your spouse doesn't come, your wife doesn't come in your sea bag.
Exactly.
Or come with it, right? And
if the military wants to have a spouse, that issue us in our fucking sea bag.
Yeah, but also because the military members held to the standard of the UCMJ. There should be a standard for civilians when they do that, when they cheat on their spouses that are that are in the military and ruin their lives and take all their money away. That kind of crap has to stop.
Yeah.
Because, it's not going to be like, hey, will you marry me so we can get TRICARE together and live outside the barracks in a house?
That's what they do.
It's just, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy that this stuff is happening, and it's bad, but it's also very good because I think that, if we're going to fix this nation, the men are going to have to be the ones that fix it.
Just the right men, not these fucking.
The right men with the right idea of like, okay, this is right, this is wrong.
Not these fucking little betas or simps, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, right?
White knight.
Not them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Here. You want the alphas, the true alphas, not the ones that say they're an alpha. They're not a true alpha.
I mean, I could tell you why we're in the predicament we're in today, and it has to happen. It has to do with what I would read in Genesis chapter 3. If I can break it down, which I will another day, I'll break it down. This is why we're in the predicament we're in now. All I'll say is this, is Eve and Adam lived in paradise in the Garden of Eden, and paradise wasn't good enough for her.
Okay. All right.
So
we'll table that one for another day, right?
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
what?
Well, go ahead, Jay. I would say I want to end it off with the safety brief again.
Oh no, we're not ending it yet. I ain't ready unless you all guys are.
I can go.
I got one more thing to bring up.
Okay.
We all know, hey, we all would like to be president one day, right? Okay. Who would, if you was president, Rocky, if you was president, who would you have in your cabinet, especially veterans, at what position?
Well, I would have people that I know that I can trust that will do the right thing, regardless of emotion.
Oh.
People that actually served in the military. I'd probably even use enlisted people because they probably know more. They have to learn the administrative side of leadership, right? And they also have to know how to do it on the ground, on boots on the ground kind of thing, right? And I think a lot of that is lost on people that become officers. They're good at administrating stuff, and I really don't consider them leaders because they're put in a position. Okay, am I going to listen to a second-class petty officer or an ensign? The second-class petty officer has been promoted at least 4 times. What's the ensign been promoted? How many times has he or she been promoted? Not even once, right? They start off there. So they already have a lack of experience of life in the United States Navy or the U.S. Army or whatever it is, right? So I'm going to go for people that know their jobs, know the ins and outs, and have ways to fix budgets, get the equipment we need, the best equipment that is, not the stupid crap that contractors do. Well, it's weird, things on my finger, and stuff like that. I'm going to have people that actually know what the fuck they're doing and why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Because you have to have foresight far enough in the future in advance to understand, okay, this is what's going to happen. These are the consequences. This is what we'll do it. This is why we're going to do it, right? Like when you present something, you always present the CO with 3 courses of action, right? And you always give them one course of action that you know is not going to work, another one that's might work, and then you're going to save the last one usually for what you want to actually get done, and you're going to explain why, because in the future it will help everyone out. And that's the kind of people you need in your cabinets. That's like, if I were president, I wish I could. President fucking Alderetti, you know, that's what would be my name. I'll let him make another money thing out of me. I don't care. I'm just playing.
Right.
But, you know, that's what I would do. I would do that. I would get people that actually know what's going on and they are not influenced by politics. They're not influenced with bribes. They're not influenced by sex. They have morals, ethics, principles, and they can actually control their biology, as Hammerhand, the MGTOW monk, would say. He would say you need morals, ethics, values, and principles, and learn how to control your biology, because you have to do that. You have to do that if you're around people that may turn you on, right? That's why there's that stupid song I hate. It's the I Lose Control shit. All the girls love it. But when a guy loses control because of his hormones, what's he known as?
A rapist.
Right? So why do they love fucking music, but then hate what the result of that stuff? It's so fucking hypocritical. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
You have to look at that. And you know, he's right. Hammerhand's right about that stuff. He's right about a lot of stuff, of the stuff that I've watched. And, you know, he's right. You have to have that morals, ethics, values, and principles. It's kind of like when the CM, the MCPON would say the mission, vision, and guiding principles of the chief mess going on forward, right? Like, you have to do that. You have to do that with your family, with your organization, whatever. It's got to be something that's like a guideline on how to go. And that's what needs to happen with the U.S. military. It needs to happen in the government too. I don't know if it will, because I don't know who these people sold out for. And they're not taking any of that fucking money when they die. And then if their family members are stupid, they're going to lose that money anyways. And it's all for naught. You're not taking any of the money with you when you die. Yeah, you may want to pass it on to your family members, but I think it'd be more important to teach your family members the right way to live.
Yep. Exactly, though.
I mean, but so what would you do, Jay? Like you would be part of the cabinet, you know?
Yeah. But my cabinet would be, I'll start with the Army, right? My cousin Michael, who was a major in the Army. And the reason I pick him, because he never was enlisted, right? The only reason I pick him, I remember when he was going through Kemper Military School to get his commission here, Kemper was here in Boonville. It's ain't no more, but his dad was always a Shriner, right? Mason a Shriner. And so retired general went up to Michael and said, hey, you listen to your sergeants. You listen to your enlisted men. Those are the ones that know more than you. And he did. And when he got put in Iraq, especially in Iraq, you know, when we went back to Iraq and all that shit, he lost one guy that got lost on patrol. Well, he did a direct order from his general. You know, and he said, no, I'm going to get my man. Plain simple. So he gathered the crew up, went and found him. so that way his body can be brought back home to be buried. And that's strung, and they found him strung up in Iraq. And he disobeyed the direct order. He's like, okay, well, I'm gonna face consequences. But if it wasn't for this one Marine general, he would have faced a court martial. That Marine general said, no, that's what we fucking need right there. Never leave a man behind, period. That's the kind of guy I would have lead the fucking army. You know, and plus when he was at Kemper, before trying to get his commission, he went out to Colorado, do the war games, simulator war games, against all these generals and shit like that. He beat every one of these motherfuckers. So he knows his fucking job, the battlefield job, right? Now, when it comes to everyday common sense, right? Yeah, maybe not so much, but when it comes to on the battlefield, ain't no one better to have your back or try to lead you. You know, when it comes to Navy, right? You know, I'd want a chief as a department head of the DOD, right? I'd want a fucking hardcore fucking chief, you know, and the Secretary of Navy. I wouldn't want no one in the Secretary of Navy job that was fucking an officer, period. You know, unless they was prior enlisted.
And they really take to heart that they were enlisted. And the whole reason they wanted to become an officer was because they wanted to help the enlisted people. They wanted to help the people that actually do all the hard work day in and day out and serve them so that they can serve others and train.
And I would name, I'll have a battleship commission, right? That would be, instead of me flying overseas, right? Since I have vertigo, I can't really fly too well. I'd have a battleship commissioned that would be my flagship, right? And I would name that something like Rocky Aldretti. Fucking Rocky Aldretti right there.
That's hilarious.
But I would also too
petting dog.
I would also get all these goddamn, some of the big names and fucking barbecue competitions, right? To teach everybody in the military, not just Navy, but all these fucking cooks, how to do smoked barbecue, do real barbecue. Have smokers installed on the ships, wherever base you're at, right? Army, Jarhead, right? Whatever, right? Then I would bring in like Guy Fieri, Robert Irvine, and some of the top chefs out there, right? To teach these motherfuckers.
Who's that fucking chef that talks shit to everybody? You can invite that cocksucker to your backyard, knocking the hell out, man. What is that guy's name?
But teach these cooks how to cook everyday food, make it taste good, right? And I would do that. I do a lot of shit. I would introduce a bill that said, okay, the president can only serve 2 terms, right? 8 years, right? Okay. Well, Congress, Senate, you get the same thing, 8 years to do your job. If not, because Truman said the best, I think it was Truman. I could be wrong, right? But you don't go into politics to get rich. A rich fucking politician is a fucking crook.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And how many politicians we know, prominent politicians, are crooks? The ones that just bought the $9 million houses and in the case of the African American president we had now owns $400 million worth of real estate. And and
I would bring back,
surprisingly, on a $360,000 a year job. Yeah, you're right, Gillen. Come on.
And I would bring back
that
that mentality we had on the 7th Fleet of the West Coast, right? You work hard, you play even harder. I'd bring back that fucking mentality, because when you're in the military, tomorrow's never fucking given at all. You never know what's going to happen. And we saw that firsthand after the coal got blown up, pulled into port in Yemen.
Yeah.
We saw that fucking firsthand right there.
Yeah.
I mean, even before,
that's what, but when the coal got blown up, that really brought everything. We're at seeing anchor detail, especially down the injury, right?
Yeah.
That brought everything to really perspective. Oh, fuck.
And if you even think farther, what about that plane, that Alaska Airlines plane that crashed that we had to go?
Yeah, I forgot about that. That we was first on scene.
That was us. That was us. We did that.
That was 98.
It's terrible. 98. Very, very. It comes up on YouTube all the time. The loss of Flight 272. And we were there, man. I mean,
and we was up by Frisco because we was going back home.
Yeah.
You know, so we turned around. We was the first ones on fucking scene.
Here's the deal.
And, you know,
We were going to pull out of port on a regular exercise for whatever we were doing at the time.
well, we head back to
we
Everett.
got the point, but port one is the port call and turned starboard and then fucking flank speed 4 engines and nobody really knew why we're doing that.
We wouldn't just
once we got there.
We wasn't just flank. We was fucking hauling ass.
Yeah, absolutely. And nobody really understood why we were doing that for like an hour and a half. Yeah. And I think the captain came online or some shit. We got to do this, check out this thing for the. But I've watched that video on that aircraft and what went wrong with that aircraft probably 10 times, and it's just so fucking sad, man. It's just terrible. It's terrible. But you guys and I wound up flying with the ribbon, for the Coast Guard Rescue ribbon, and I've always wore that with pride because that was a shitty fucking week. That was a shitty 4 or 5 days of picking up aircraft seats and aircraft fucking aileron parts, and that was tragic. Yeah,
I mean,
that's terrible.
I mean, we didn't have to bring no bodies aboard, but
I don't think they found any.
No, they didn't.
They
all went down. You know, that's the ribbon that I'm the most proud of there.
Was it by the Farallon Islands?
Yeah, right between, like, if you're going to LA, whatever the fuck that
was. There's a lot of great white sharks out there too.
Yeah. There's a lot of great white sharks. But the aircraft stacked at like 300 knots, man. It'd be bam, you know. No part was bigger than 6 inches wide, other than seat cushions. Seat cushions. We did pick up seat cushions.
That's what we was pulling up. Was it?
Yeah, that was horrible. That was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I've had people like when I got on the East, like I went to sea school, right? You know, got on the East Coast. They're like, how the fuck do you got a Coast Guard ribbon and medal? I said, because of this right here.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Because not too many people in the Navy get that fucking ribbon and medal.
Completely deserve it. That was a horrible situation. Horrible.
And that's the one that I'm the most proud of, because that's the one that we tried to do good, really do good on.
I was actually a part of something pretty neat too. It was the humanitarian assistance and disaster response for the Haiti earthquake. I was stationed in Guantanamo Bay at the time.
Oh shit!
I was actually an MA1, and I was put in charge of anti-terrorism division. Right, so I was the guy that wrote the AT plan to defend the base, and I was actually going to be taking on a second division. I was going to take on the training.
That's ridiculous. You should have been like a fucking major or something like that to do that shit.
No,
bullshit.
I did it.
Fuck that.
And so
major and Army major.
So around that time, I got it wasn't a promotion like making chief, but I got promoted to where I was the anti-terrorism division and the training division LPO. And it made sense. If I write the AT plan, I'm going to write how we train people for active shooters, taking, field officer stuff, field patrol, all that stuff, right? I had to teach all that stuff, and it was based off the anti-terrorism plan. So I ended up getting that job, and I kept that job for a while. And then eventually I became the physical security officer for the base, which is usually a GS-13 kind of job. and so, that stuff helped me out with a lot of experience, because my SECO at the time gave me a chance.
Yeah, I said major. That's the Lieutenant Commander's GS-13. So, yeah, awesome.
I was proud that we did that, because it was pretty interesting. I remember when the H1N1 virus came out, the bird flu, we had a plane land on our flight line in Gitmo. It was crazy, the bird flu thing, right? And so, yeah, but the Coast Guard one that we did back in 2000, I think it was in 2000, right? Or was it 99? What year was that?
Which one?
Where we got the Coast Guard ribbon for the Alaska Airlines flight.
I think it was 98. It may have been 99.
I can't remember.
I want to say 98, because we was getting ready to head back to Everett. See, I was getting ready to go on leave as soon as we got back.
But this is short of the crazy combat shit.
And then that got fucking almost made me late for leave. Almost missed my flight. So I remember that one pretty fucking good. And I was because I'm flying back home to flying back here to Missouri to Kansas City, the fucking Alaska Airlines flight. So that gave me anxiety like a motherfucker, that whole flight right there, back home. You know. But get back to, you know, and everybody in my cabinet would be veteran, except for not everybody, but I know we have a couple of civilians in there. But everyone else, the people serving like you all, you know, missing little Tate, he'd be in there too. You know, Rocky would be there, Joe, you'd be there, right? There's some other ones like Big U, right? You know, people I fucking trust. All that bullshit. You know, like when it came to like overseeing the fucking the farmers, right? Wherever that would agriculture, right? I would have family members that do farm over that, and also some other guys that's not family, fucking, you know, working with them too. You know, to bring back the fucking get away from these goddamn fucking poison that we're doing to our food. You know, when it comes to farming, do it the natural fucking way, like it's supposed to be. You know, education would be of that.
So I found it. It was Alaska Airlines flight 261, January 31st, 2000, off the coast of California.
Yeah. Shit, I was off by a couple of years. Fuck, I thought it was 9899.
72, something like that.
So 261, and that kind of was a eye opener for me because it was like, you know, those people just died. They disappeared.
Yep.
And it was
that was stupid. Shit,
some dude. The deal with that was that some dude.
Oh yeah,
didn't follow didn't follow the instructions of the documentation to grease the vertical stabilizer correctly on this jack shaft. The jack shaft was not greased correctly, and when the jack shaft for the vertical stabilizer went up and down, it did not have the proper lubrication and wind up binding and not operating properly. And that was it. I mean,
see, that was right before we fucking was going on deployment. That's why I was going home and leave.
Yeah. The fight got underway. It was Rennie, Captain Rennie. I knew where we were going. I knew the job we had to get done from the brief. And then all of a sudden I fucking hit my rack. So I'm like, hey, I got a couple hours here to get some rack time. So fuck this shit. But
that would actually be a commander of the field.
But we came starboard, and I didn't understand us coming starboard, but I didn't understand that we were hauling ass. We were absolutely balls to the wall hauling ass for the 7-Up blasting somewhere. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And I crashed out for a couple hours. So then we wind up waking up. I wind up waking up in the sector. So we had a sector confined to us that we were supposed to have one of those bridge wing light towers. One of those light towers are called. It's a point into the water, right? And then we're going to get more in the future. So the Coast Guard brought us more of these lookout tower things, these bulbs, and then to watch the water and put them on the bridge wings. And then the next day, we drove around the 1st Division small boats to pick up stuff. So we pick up some air seat cushions, which is fucked up, and then a couple of the ailerons, tip ailerons of the bridge wings of the rings of the ship that smashed off when they hit the water. But that was it, man. That shit hit the water so hard that it was gone. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you just have Memorial, all folks on board were gone. But if you watch the video on YouTube, you can look up the video on YouTube, and it's very disturbing. Very disturbing. So if you are a flight member that tried to make effort to rescue anybody from the flight, from the Alaska flight, and you listen to the YouTube video from the Alaska flight challenges of them trying to get the control of the ship from the vertical stabilizer going up and down and failure. It's just horrifying, man. Horrifying.
Well, see, the commander on the Fife at that time was Field. He'd already taken over, Commander Field.
Were you there when they gassed it up so we could go to that job?
What, to Alaska?
No. This fucking plane crash, man.
Yeah, I was on it.
Yeah, that's fucking horrible. It's just horrible. That was fucking horrible.
All three of us and Little Tate, he's not here tonight. He was
horrible. Yeah, that was bad, man. That was one of the worst things I've ever done on a ship.
But I'm saying Commander Field was our CEO. Because you said somebody else, it wasn't Field, it was Field, because I brought out the 2000 cruise book, right?
Yeah.
Commander Field and XO was actually Borchardt. He was the XO. Then he got replaced by Pearson.
Yeah.
During the cruise.
Yeah.
And our command master chief was FCCM Morgan.
I would remember that motherfucker, but I don't right now at the moment. But you had a couple,
yeah, use a
the
Twitch.
command chiefs. Yeah, fuck those guys, man. I never liked any of that shit. I did my job. You didn't have the guy regulating. I never liked the master chief, the command master chief program. I never liked it. Fuck that. You pick a guy to do this particular job. Well, he was, whatever.
All right. So we got anything else to talk about?
Politics, man.
I just want to end with this safety brief again because I think it's hilarious and it's spot on. Y'all ready?
Yep.
All right. Here's the weekend safety brief, and I want everyone that watches this to think about this stuff. Like, you can apply it to civilian life too if you're a civilian. And if you're in the military and you do have goals and aspirations, pay attention to this, because as a retired chief, I do want you to be successful in your life and help others to grow and be successful too, right? So here it is. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. In other words, don't die or kill anyone. Stay out of the hospital, stay out of the newspaper, stay out of the social media news and jail. But if you do end up in jail, establish dominance very quickly. Okay, because we all know that jail's not the best place. And that's all I have for you guys today on the Fifer'S. So like and subscribe. And
until next time.